We are podcast.
Woo!
We were podcast.
What is happening?
We are finally podcast.
Is this real?
Yeah. Yep.
This is how you choose to start this episode?
We've achieved our goal, Zach.
What's our goal?
We're finally podcast. It's in the fucking name.
I thought we were since the first episode.
No, this is all a test. It's like the prototype Ava units.
Oh, is this episode 1?
Yep. No, see, we're mass produced. We are finally podcast.
Oh.
So we can't swear anymore, which I think we've already broken, so I guess we're not podcast anymore.
Oh god, I'm so sorry. Is the name now We Were Finally Podcast?
No, We Were Podcast.
We did this joke already.
Yeah, we did. It's fine. I'm Rosin.
I'm Podcast.
Good. I was about to say, fuck, I didn't get the fake name thing in here. How am I gonna work this in? I want there to be someone listening to this podcast that still doesn't know our fucking names.
I mean, I'm sure that, hey, I guarantee you there's people that don't know mine.
I know for a fact that there are people that have stumbled onto this via iTunes, and I'm not entirely sure how that's happened.
But I've seen comments on videos where people didn't know my name, so...
Yeah, I mean, I don't know your name, so...
Hey, it's a mysterious thing.
Yeah. But yeah,
It's Zephyr Wolf.
Yep. It's gonna be my Sonic Forces character. Oh, hey, I'm getting a text.
Nice.
Yeah.
Take it.
Hold on, let me just respond.
Oh, I'm gonna reshuffle.
This is actually a good transition. No, my credit card didn't come in the mail yet.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah, my credit card got stolen a few days back. Some asswipe in West Virginia tried to do some stuff with it for like $5. Don't laugh. This is serious. I had to call and cancel and order a new card. It was a bad time.
I'm not laughing at your card situation. I'm just laughing at you in general.
Okay, thank you. Makes me feel a lot better. Yeah, I'm a little salty about it. So actually, there's really not much in life I can say about West Virginia in general that's positive.
Oof.
Like, I drove through... So, we had a family... I think I've talked before. When our family did, like, vacations and stuff and, like, road trips, we'd always go out east because that's what, like, my mom was interested in. Or, like, down south. So, the only time I've ever been through West Virginia, it was one of those, okay, like, it's starting to become night, and we're about to enter West Virginia, and the town we're currently in, all it has is, like, 2 really shitty rundown motels. Let's try to go further in and see if we can find anything. We then drove until 2 a.m. I started to get car sick. I threw up on the side of the road near a bar. I was, like, 12, I think.
I think I've heard this story.
Probably. And we kept driving and driving. At some point, we almost ran out of gas, and there was no fucking stations. Like, I can't remember what year this... Well, like, it would have been, like, sometime, like, mid-2000s. Like, not every gas station over there had the whole, like, you could pay with a credit card even if no one's at the gas station thing yet. So we were just about to be fucked, and we finally found, like, a decent-sized town that had, like, you know... that and also decent hotels, and we finally stood for the fucking night, and it was a bad time. There was a really creepy painting in the hotel room that to this day is etched in my brain as like staring at me while I sleep while I had an upset tummy. It was a bad time. I mean, it's not all bad though. Okay, this is actually another fun story. I had an internet friend who met Obama one time. He was from West Virginia.
That's a positive thing.
Yeah, he discovered some weird astronomical, like, object in the sky just randomly with the telescope when he was, like, doing some, like, science project thing. And he was like, hey, teacher, what is that? And my teacher's like, oh my god, you discovered a thing that's not recorded. And, like, he actually, like, was on TV, and, like, Obama gave him some award.
Huh.
Yeah, it was a good time. I'll never know what happened to him, though. I haven't talked to him in like 3 years, so
Uh,
good times. But yeah, no, that's all
yeah,
related to my credit card getting stolen, by the way.
yeah.
Yep, West Virginia. Fuck them.
West Virginia.
Fuck them.
Hey, I bet someone right now is listening from West Virginia.
Yeah, I bet they are. Fuck them. Why'd you steal my card?
Hey, yeah. Any West Virginia listeners, post in the comment why you stole Rosin's card.
Just in the comment my credit card info.
Yeah,
let everyone else
honestly.
have it, not it too. I canceled it already.
I
so
need
it's
a bag of chips, so.
fine. Yeah. No, so I'm pretty mad about it though, because I had the SNES class. I told you this before we started recording, but for the audience.
Yeah, I'm starting to wonder why we didn't just save it for the podcast.
Yeah, same. So fuck Best Buy's online ordering system. So if you listen to last week's, we're not a weekly show, but we had one like about a week ago, podcast.
We've had like 4 this past month.
Yeah, I know. We're starting to normalize. It's getting weird. It's
Mm.
making me uncomfortable.
Well, let's see what the quality of this one's like. And then
Yeah,
we
we may need to stop. No, so fucking last week I talked about how I got real lucky. I snagged a Best Buy pre-order for the SNES Classic Edition. So apparently, like, if you're like 2 days out after you have your initial pre-order in, Best Buy just doesn't fucking let you change any of your like payment info or like logistical stuff for your online orders. Like, it just tells you when you try to click the button, like, it's too late to make changes. So I learned that Best Buy has one of the worst fucking systems for, like, handling payment info changes ever, where when they first, when you first put the order in, they charge your card just for, like, a temporary amount just to make sure you have the funds and everything goes through it right, or else they'll, like, spit back, like, an error. And that's fine, a lot of online merchants do that. But what they then do is, like, a day or two before it ships, they then charge you again, this time for, like, the full amount or whatever. And if that doesn't go through, they give you, like, 24 hours to change your payment info, or your thing just gets canceled. So I'm just kind of currently eyeing my email like a goddamn hawk, hoping that my fucking little, like, error thing pops up that lets me change my credit card to my new one that I still don't have yet. So I can secure that SNES Classic Edition order, because if it gets canceled because some asshole wanted to buy a bag of chips in West Virginia, I'm going to be really upset. But it's fine. But yeah, that's been my life. Good podcast, we're done here.
Yep, bye.
Yep. No, aside from, like, terrible credit card bullshit and just financial insecurity, I've been making myself feel better by playing Mario Cross Rabbids XCOM Kingdom Monsters Fight.
So, when this whole Rabbids thing started with you, I never really knew how serious I should take it.
Yeah?
And part of me really didn't think you'd buy this game.
Oh.
And then you ordered it.
Yep.
And then you streamed it.
Yeah.
Tell me about Mario Rabbids Kingdom Battle.
Okay, so I want to just clarify that I bought the first Rayman Raving Rabbids game day fucking one when I was... Hold on, let's check the year on this pupper.
Oh boy.
Let's
Date
see.
yourself.
Yeah, hold on.
2022.
Yep. 23, fuck you. Let's see. That was, almost 10 years ago. Wait, no, it's been over 10 years ago. It was November 2006. I was 13 when Rayman Raving Rabbids came into my life.
Yeah?
And I've been a fan ever since. I bought Rayman Raving Rabbids 2. I bought Rayman Raving Rabbids TV Party, which is the one that you use the little, like, balance board
Fuck
for.
you. No, you didn't.
Yeah, I have a copy in my closet right now, Zach. I can show it to you. And then
Do you have all the Rabbids games?
No, you. That's a good question, because as soon as I bought TV Party, I went, "This is fucking shit. Why am I buying these?" And I stopped. So I've actually been off the Rabbids train until this one.
Back in.
But I have the original trilogy of games. So,
Oh, the classic trilogy.
classic Wii trilogy of Rayman Raving Rabbids. You want to know a fun story, actually?
Sure.
I actually didn't realize, and I don't think, to be fair, a lot of people did. Um, when I ordered or like bought Rayman Raving Rabbids, I was not aware at the time that that game had gone from a 3D platformer like Rayman 2 and 3 to a fucking minigame collection. I don't know if you remember this, but like way back when the Wii was called the Revolution,
Mm.
the whole premise behind this game was that like you were like it starts with Rayman in like a jungle and these fucking Rabbids are on UFO ships like trying to capture him, and at the end of the level you get captured, and then like the prison they throw Rayman in is like a fucking like hub world that he has to do a bunch of different like challenges or platforming things to like get out. And at some point in that game's development cycle, they scrapped that idea altogether, and it went from a traditional Rayman platformer to just being a minigame collection.
Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
I have never played a Rayman game.
Okay.
I've never seen a Rayman game.
Oh.
I've never. I know what the character looks like.
Yeah.
I know that the Rabbids spawned from it, and I know what the Rabbids look like. That's as far as it goes.
Okay.
I know that apparently they had like a revival that went back to the 2D classics.
Yeah, I've never played those myself.
Yeah, that's all I know.
Um, I grew up with Rayman 1 and 2 on PlayStation 1, and I loved those games to death. Rayman 3, I remember not being super fond of as a kid. Like, I liked it, but, like, it wasn't... I thought I liked the first two more. Um,
Now, were the Rabbids in those games?
no.
No.
They were supposed to just be like, oh, this is the new enemy. The subtitle for Rayman 3 is Hoodlum Havoc, and the idea, like, hoodlums are the monster enemy race of that game.
Okay.
Like Rayman, and then like Rayman 2 had like ghost pirates that were super cool. Rayman 1 had like these weird like God, I don't even remember what they're called, but like Rayman's never. So here's the thing that actually you should probably know about Rayman that I think a lot of people leave out, but is kind of important to the history. I think of all the mascot platformers of that era that had multiple spanning games and got popular, Rayman is the least defined. And to be fair, I think the some of the spin-offs I never played and like those new revival games kind of get more into it, but Rayman never had like a consistent like thematic, well not even thematic, but like general aesthetic or like thing going for it. Like the first Rayman game is like from what I recall heavily implied to be taking place in like a dream world. And I think the final boss of that game is actually called like Mr. Nightmare or something.
Mhm.
And then like Rayman 2 became like weird fairies and ghost pirates and shit, and like it just kind of went all over from there, and then now we have like fucking proto
Rabbids.
minions. Yeah. They were minions before minions, man. I don't know what to say. Um so yeah, I don't know, but it's really good. It is in fact just Mario with Rabbids and in an XCOM game. I know that some people have compared it to Disgaea. I'm personally not super familiar with that series, so I don't quite see it, but there's probably stuff I just don't know about.
So I've seen it compared to Disgaea. I've seen it compared to Fire Emblem. I think those comparisons are being made by people that have never seen XCOM.
See, there's that, but also I think some of the support functions that aren't in XCOM are from Disgaea, which is the only reason that that one.
Okay. I still think a large part of those people, though, especially the ones comparing it to Fire Emblem,
I think
have
the Fire Emblem, yeah, I think it's just
you just never saw XCOM because it's
yeah,
blatant.
yeah, like it's Mario and Luigi's special command is just Overwatch from XCOM. That being said, though, someone on Twitter asked me how it was, and I just replied back with what I think is like my elevator pitch for this game. Like, if I had like a younger relative watch me play XCOM or something and like was curious about it, I would hand him this game. Um, it is elementary XCOM, but your units aren't really you know, it is a strategy RPG party of characters. They're not really disposable. You know, it's an
Yeah.
actual party. That being said, you are heavily encouraged to. So it is broken up into a world and level structure where one level has multiple encounters in it. And sometimes the easiest answer is, hey, put one of your party members into a dangerous situation to have them do enough damage and just win the fight. And then next time around, you can change that out with a party member that, like, you can put party members on the bench and have new ones come in. And actually, one of my beefs with the game is that your max party size is only 3 units, which I think is a little too simple. I don't know if maybe they unlock it so that you could have more later on. I kind of hope so, but I'm not getting my hopes up. Um, but yeah, I don't know. It's really fun. It's really creative, and kind of being more styled like a traditional strategy RPG a little bit does, I think, add some additional layers of strategy that XCOM doesn't quite. Because, like, obviously, it doesn't have, like, the base building and, like, resource intensive strategy elements that XCOM does. But instead, you get stuff like weapons that have certain special effects that can play off and combo well with other characters' special abilities. The example I really like giving people is if you have a team of Mario, Luigi, and Rabbid Luigi, you can set Mario and Luigi to go into their Overwatch move, and then Rabbid Luigi has certain weapons that can cause burn damage to a enemy, and burn damage has a like 30, I think it depends on the weapon, but it gives you like a slight percent chance that they'll get the burn status effect. And you've played Mario 64. I know you've talked about that before. You know when Mario gets burned in that game and he runs around like on fire holding his butt or whatever?
So the minute you said put Mario and Luigi in Overwatch and have him burn them, I knew exactly where it was going and I loved it.
Yeah, so fucking the Rabbid will start to like cover their butt and run around, and that triggers Mario and Luigi's Overwatch, and you just get a shit ton of like it basically kills them like in one go. It's so fucking good.
That's great.
There and like from what I understand, there's other abilities and like setups and stuff that have like different types of things. Like I know that Rabbid Peach and I think Mario get guns that can cause like honey damage, which has a slight percent chance of just having an enemy get stuck for a turn, like they just can't move at all. There's a lot of really cool stuff. It's really good. It's better than it has any right to be, honestly.
Yeah,
Um,
it sounds like, XCOM Light with status effects.
yeah, it's really good.
How's the comedy?
A little. Okay, if I was in fifth grade, I feel like I'd love it. I'm not in
Yeah.
fifth grade. It's really stupid. There's okay. I am shocked at how not as much of a Nintendo game it feels like.
Yeah, you were saying a little bit about this.
And I think it's very obvious that you need someone like Ubisoft to get in there and kind of you need a huge corporation with as much sway as Nintendo, well, not as much, but like a significant amount to be like, okay, we're gonna take some creative control over here. Um, I've seen the word hell used twice in the game, which like I mean it's like not a big deal obviously, but it's kind of something you wouldn't expect if Nintendo was running the show, you know. Like there's one area in the game that I don't have access to yet, but the little like you have like a little robot AI partner, and he's kind of like the main character or like the narrator of the game. Um, and you go over to one area, and he's like, "Oh yeah, we can't access this industrial hellscape yet," and it's like, "Oh, okay." There Mario has a gun called Hell in a Shell. And actually, one thing that someone said that I never saw before, but I looked it up, and yeah, it's there. They did like character reveal, like you know how Persona Q when they were announcing that they like the character reveal trailers and shit.
Yeah.
They apparently did that for this game, and Peach's character trailer calls her a badass.
Mm,
So
okay.
like it's really weird. Um,
I skimmed the stream you did,
yeah,
and there were some sick like Aphrodite mentions.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's so Bowser Jr. seems to be like the main bad guy at this point in the game so far. Um, there's like a scene where he pulls out his iPhone and gets a call from his dad asking if he's got the mail in and like did the chores and shit, and like that kind of felt non-Nintendo-y.
Well, like Bowser Jr. and Bowser as a father-son thing has been being pushed more and more, and I love it.
Yeah, it's really good. Like you have the parental relationship,
Yeah.
like the parental supervision, like little PSA Nintendo put out for online features. That was really fucking good.
Yeah.
Um, Also, too, do you know the plot of this game?
I mean, beyond the generic like Rabbids thing, no,
Do you know how the Okay, so you don't know how the crossover happens.
no.
So there is this inventor girl, and I want to say she's young. I think she's like a teenager, who has like Mario memorabilia and like merchandise all over her lab. And she's inventing a headset that, when you stare at two different objects and select them, will combine them together.
Fuck off.
So what happens is that she leaves to go grab dinner, and and the little like robot, God, I can't remember his name, but the little like robot like AI buddy or whatever is like just left in the lab to look over stuff. Now, as she leaves to go get dinner, the Rabbids teleport into her lab in their time traveling washing machine, which is apparently a thing that was added into the Rabbids mythology after I jumped ship. Um, and they steal the fucking headset, and like at some point, like they manage to like combine the Mario merchandise in her room with like a Rabbid, and like shit, like it opens up a weird portal to the Mario dimension or whatever the fuck, and things just start to go bad. Um, it's really fucking weird. The main okay, so the rabbit that wore the headset gets the headset stuck onto his head and is just running around freaking the fuck out, accidentally crossing things over. And he's not doing it on purpose. Like, he's actually pretty horrified of the situation. But now all the characters need to, like, stop him or want to use him for, like, personal gains. So, like, they try to, like, get a hold on him while he's just running around terrified. And at some point, Bowser Jr.'s like, let's call him Spawny. And everyone's like, right, his name is Spawny now. It's really weird. And I feel bad for him. I hope everything works out for this poor rabbit at the end.
Oh,
'Cause, like,
well, keep us updated, I guess.
he just has a headset stuck to his head, and everywhere he goes, things just go to shit. The only disappointment I have with the game so far is, as far as I can tell, I beat the first world. Everything except for bosses seems to just be rabid enemies.
Yeah.
When you actually, literally, the first thing you see of the crossover stuff is like, you see like some Rabbids and Goombas stuck together in a giant pit of honey, and everyone's like, oh god, what's going on? And like all the Mario enemies seem to just have like abandoned ship, and the Rabbids are just running around causing chaos, so you have to stop them. I would totally love to see like weird Koopas with rabbit ears and you know what I mean? Those would be fun.
It's funny because I initially, because there was that reveal trailer during E3 of Rabid Donkey Kong.
Yep, he's the World 1 boss.
I kind of assumed that they would be doing rabid versions of the Mario villains.
They kind of... So the gimmick is the mini-bosses and bosses of each world, I believe, are those. Because the first mini-boss is Petey Piranha and a rabbit crossed together.
Alright, well, at least there's that, I guess.
And then the world boss is Donkey Kong, Rabbid. And actually, I will say, those boss fights so far have been really fun. Petey Piranha was literally a thing where he just runs around and he has a shit ton of explosive barrels everywhere. And, like, you have to be really careful where you take cover and try to, like, draw him in towards those explosive barrels and try to get them to blow up near him. Donkey Kong does this thing where every few turns he'll, like, just cause a shockwave that hits everyone on the map. And there's a bunch of pits everywhere, and if your character, like, manages to get smacked into a pit, that's a lot of damage towards them. It's really neat. Oh, and also so the different enemy types all get like this little introduction piece where like it shows off their name, what they look like, and kind of what their gimmick is. The base enemy type in the game is a David Bowie reference. It's just called Ziggy and has a lightning bolt on his face.
Yeah.
It's just a bunch of really weird stuff, and like it's kind of neat to see like Mario stuff from like someone else's creative perspective, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. I
I'm
do
really
have.
digging it.
Yeah, that's good. I have like a personal problem,
Yeah.
and it's like just a me thing. Well, it's not just a me thing. I'm sure there are people out there that agree, but like it's not fair. But I
Mm-hmm.
feel this way. Um, we've had Super Mario RPG.
Mm-hmm.
We had Paper Mario and all of its sequels.
Yep.
We had Mario and Luigi and all of its sequels. And now we have another company coming in doing their own Mario RPG
Mm-hmm.
with Ubisoft. We have so many Mario RPGs now. Why the fuck is there no Zelda RPG?
Huh.
Why is it Mario that gets all of them? Why is there no like, how
I
come the high fantasy never got a Zelda RPG?
I have the perfect transition right now. You should play Final Fantasy Adventure. Um, so that's the other thing I've been playing.
Okay.
So I've been playing Final Fantasy Adventure. I'm working on the second RPG Rewind, which is gonna be focusing on the three English versions of Seiken Densetsu, which is for people who don't speak Japanese and have no idea what the fuck I'm talking about. Is the first Mana game, that famous action RPG series from Square Enix that's kind of fallen by the wayside as of late. But Secret of Mana, all that. Seiken Densetsu 3 is really popular in Japanese RPG circles. It's commonly referred to as the best Mana game. I've never played too much of it. Um, so I've never played Final Fantasy Adventure. I've played its Game Boy Advance remakes, Sword of Mana, and then there's a recent Vita remake that is a little bit closer to the original than Sword of Mana took some liberties with everything, and like really expanded the game. So I just went back to basics. I'm gonna start. Well, I started with the first one. I've just been putting some time into Final Fantasy Adventure, which is what the localized title got stuck as. I think actually in Japan it's like Final Fantasy Gaiden or something. Actually, so like they didn't just slap on Final Fantasy like they did with the Saga games. This actually did start as a Final Fantasy spin-off. And there are chocobos and shit in there, so like you can, and I think there's Moogles in there too at some point, so you can definitely
Hmm.
tell. Zach, this is just a Game Boy Zelda game with some light RPG elements added to it. I am baffled. Like I always had heard that reference before. I was shocked by how much this is just a Zelda game.
Is it a good Zelda game? I mean,
Yes, in a lot of
I guess don't spoil your RPG Rewind.
well, like I won't, but like I will say, it's lighter on the Zelda than you would like. The dungeons are pretty simple, but you do end up getting like there are dungeons where you get new weapons to equip to your character's weapon slot, and each of those different weapons have different abilities that will let you progress in different parts of the world. So, for example, early on you get a axe, and that lets you cut down trees that are blocking your way.
Hmm.
And it kind of replace, like, instead of having different items, you do have some items that are like keys, and like you have like pickaxes that'll break rocks and stuff like that. It really does feel like a kind of less polished Zelda type clone with like actual like RPG numbers and stats and stuff going into, to the point where I think if you like I think if you like Link's Awakening and the Oracle games, this is probably the closest thing on that platform to those, actually.
Interesting, but with a little bit of Final Fantasy flair to it.
Oh yeah, and you can tell there's a point, it's like very early on in the game, where there's just someone who is a red mage that just joins you.
Hmm.
They reuse a lot of the NES Final Fantasy sprites. To be fair, I don't think they're the exact same sprites. I think they were touched up so they looked better for the Game Boy's limited color schemes and stuff. So far, I have definitely seen town NPCs that are just the white mage. There's one character that is just the red mage. The dwarves look exactly like the dwarves from Final Fantasy 3. The Chocobo sprite is just the Chocobo, so yeah,
Hmm.
it's really neat. I like it a lot.
I'll probably check it out at some point. Not exactly what I mean when I say a Zelda RPG, but it's a nice, interesting mix from what I hear.
Yeah, and for one of the first couple games that tried to do Japanese action RPG type deal, it's pretty good. Like in terms of handling those, where it's mostly it honestly mostly feels like a Zelda game, but the stats matter enough that if you put all of your points into like boosting your MP, you're gonna notice your sword swings are taking a little bit to catch up. It's really interesting. So yeah, I like it a lot. I can't wait to actually go back and go through it. And honestly, too, it's a Game Boy game, so it's really fucking short. I beat about 1/3 of it in one afternoon. So
I'm definitely looking forward to your RPG Rewind. So
I'm excited too. Hey, you
that
speaking
first
of
one
it,
was really good.
I know no I had problems with it, but it's fine. Speaking of videos we make that are good, you made a dot hack video.
Oh, shut up.
Yeah, no, tell everyone. This is your outlet.
Fuck off now. Yeah, no. I mean, I talked before on the podcast about trying to do like a dot hack thing. Um, it wasn't the one I planned. I kind of when writing the script for the dot hack sign video, I couldn't get what I wanted to say out without it being bogged down by other dot hack stuff. So I made a post on Twitter where it was just like, hey, which of these two videos should I make? And one of them was like a dot hack beginner's guide. And that's the one.
Gee, I wonder where you got that idea from.
I know. Hey, man. Hey. I won't deny that you were an inspiration to me in some regards.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, it was just a series overview. It was a series overview, and I talked about good entry points for beginners. So I have some problems with the video myself, but as the first video, it came out okay, I think. So
now
if you're
need
interested,
to start a podcast.
you say that.
Oh, jeez.
There
no.
have been talks, but if that ever comes to something, I'll let you know.
Oh, jeez.
Um,
Zach, I need to be your guiding inspiration in life. Don't have it be solely about dot hack.
It's not. It won't be.
Don't become the dot hack guy, Zach.
I won't.
Look at me. I'm a broken man.
I think there's already dot hack guys out there, so that market's filled. But that being said, no, yeah, if you're interested in listening to this and like, if you've ever said, boy, dot hack sounds interesting, but I have no idea where the fuck to start or what any of this garbage is, you can give my video a watch if you want, because hey, dot hack is convoluted and stupid, so.
Pull out my picture of the demi-fiend every night from under my pillow and just cry.
You should. Yep. I'll pull out my picture of Kite. But which one am I talking about? Ooh.
Oh no. Watch this video to find out more.
Oh, yeah. No, it's the reception has been pretty positive. I'm happy. And I had small time goals for that, and they've been met. What I was hoping it to do has already happened, so that's good.
Yeah.
My goal was to get to 100 views on it, and it's already almost there, so I'm happy with that.
That's good. It feels good, doesn't it, when it's all said and done and people comment on it?
It does, yeah. I like it. I
the...
probably would not have made that video if I haven't enjoyed doing stuff on your channel. So
yeah, see, that's the thing. It gets to a point where you start to chase the dragon, and then you get busy, and then you can't do it as often as you'd like to, and it becomes very frustrating. But that's besides the point.
Yeah. To break it down a little bit, I do have problems with my video. I'm not good at reading a script. That took me a while, because it was really hard to not sound like a 13-year-old reading their book report in front of the class, you know?
Yeah.
So that took a while, and if you pay attention, there's parts where I'm clearly fumbling words and say things wrong, and at some point, I actually re-recorded the first 3 minutes of it just because it came out really bad the first time.
Fun fact about script reading that I always think of when I'm reading them now. So I think I said like a while, I for like the last little bit of my stay at college, I found like a gig doing like video production stuff as like a full thing. and I needed to train myself to, when reading a script and then when fucking up, to not immediately go fuck or damn it, because I was now in a professional setting where people were in the room next door. And
Nice.
luckily I thought of that before that became an issue. But yeah, it was really awkward learning how to not do that, because for years I just been saying ah shit whenever I fucked up. So
I had one of the funniest moments ever, and I posted it on Twitter, but then I deleted it. Um, it was me trying to say the phrase, "Another birth is another novel series," and I kept saying a novel nother. And
that'll happen, yeah.
Rosin, I did it like 4 times in a row, and then I just started cracking up. So that
See,
was fun.
this way you gotta include a blooper reel.
Well, I have that saved. So, um, yeah, I think probably in retrospect, the only thing that I think maybe not was not the best idea was the fact that my first video was a 30-minute video including footage from like 16 different sources.
Yeah.
Maybe I should have started off a bit smaller, but whatever.
Sometimes all you need is a bunch of Google image pictures and Comic Sans.
No, see, I needed the footage because then they wouldn't appreciate what I was talking about.
See, you know, to this day,
It got my video blocked.
yeah, to this day, I still have. So, I made that stupid SMT guide using Comic Sans just to like get a rise out of people.
Yeah.
I did not realize how seriously some people took the Comic Sans thing.
Yeah, some people actually care.
Well, like, there's this one fucking dude on Reddit who, like, I can't remember. I think his name's like Tenek or some shit. Like, every single time he like posted about the guide or whatever, he's like, oh, or like if someone like made another, because like there's been people that have made like more like better and updated guides or whatever, which like you know, good honestly. And every single time he'd comment something like, oh, thank God this one doesn't have Comic Sans. And I'm like, dude, it's been years and I did it to piss people off on purpose. Let it go. I don't know. Fuck that guy, though, because he also posted on, like, one of our old WAFs, like, I don't know if we're ever going to get SMT Apocalypse, so what does he know? Calling
Hey.
people out on WAF.
Hey, I wish he was right. Oh.
Oh. I finished that game on here.
I don't know if you ever did.
Yeah. This is kind of a letdown.
I have disliked that game the more time I put between it. I made a dumb blog post that was like ranking the Megaton mainline games, and like that one was pretty low on that list.
It's... You know what bothers me about it so much? Is I feel like if that game was about anything else, I could have taken the more kind of generic kooky anime thing they went with it. But it's the fact that it's so kooky anime. You know what I mean? Like
It's fucking garbage.
Like, if that game had been the tone of Devil Survivor 2, you've played that game.
Yeah.
I would have.
That was my introduction.
Yeah, that's why I immediately was like, oh yeah, that's how we fucking met. I would have been fine with it, but like literally, like they went more generic than fucking Devil. Like they went full power of friendship anime garb. Like
They
it's
went
pretty baffling.
power of friendship in a way that is not only boring, but also like kind of insulting to me as a human.
Yeah, I can feel that.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked about it on this podcast before, so there's no, like, I don't need to go super into it, but just, like, that game is so watered down and dumbed down and, like, basic anime bullshit.
I will say, I do generally enjoy the gameplay over 4s. I like the changes a lot. I know you have beef. I know you have beef with, like, the dying doesn't mean anything anymore, but,
yeah,
like...
Yeah, so, like, the thing is, I think that gameplay is almost, like, near immaculate. I think it is balanced beautifully, and all of my problems with 4 have been resolved. I think it's completely undermined by the fact that death has no penalty.
I feel like, so here's my thing is I eventually came to the point where I was saving so much in 4 that that became negligible, like as a difference to me, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
I think my main issue with that is like, yeah, they had a chance to fix that problem and they made it worse.
I can feel that. I guess like it didn't end up like at first for a while I was kind of with you, but then after a point I'm like, I didn't. I don't know. It became fine with me. So, but
Yeah. I just feel like it doesn't bother me as much in 4 because 4 is kind of bullshit in terms of gameplay.
yeah,
But like Apocalypse is so close to being the perfect SMT battle system. And like they put so much effort into balancing that thing
yeah.
and then undermined it.
I will say though, I think that's my favorite mainline final boss.
Sure, but in terms of creativity, it's been done before.
Yeah, it has.
And
And I'll,
it was way better integrated into the story the first time.
yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about the final form design wise.
I don't like it.
Yeah, yeah. But I feel like the writing and like the music and every like the gameplay mechanics of that fight are so fucking good.
I mean, it's an atheist's wet dream, you know?
It kind of is. Um but yeah, that's random SMT4 Apocalypse updates.
Hey.
I've been poking it, I guess while we're on it, I've been poking at Persona 5 more and like I kind of wanted to get that game done by the end of summer. I don't know if I'm going to beat that game by the end of the year, and honestly, I don't know if I mind.
That's fair.
I every time I go to that game, I just think about how fucking good that first arc was and how I just don't care
It
anymore.
it never gets that good again.
I you know, so I know this is kind of selfish, I think, from me. Like I don't think this is a fair critique. Every time I look or play that game, I'm kind of shocked it took this long to come out. Like I get it aesthetically, I get it from like an engine standpoint, and like they made all the demons again, and like all that art and is new, and like getting everything looking and sounding and play like the actual technical parts of that game are so fucking amazing. But like,
So, sure, yes, that's true. On the other hand, it's a PS3 game.
yeah,
And I don't even mean that in like, oh, these graphics could be like, no, literally, it's a PS3 game that ended up getting ported to PS4
it
because it
has
took
a
so long.
slight perform. It's a Breath of the Wild situation.
Is it even? Because I've heard no real qualms about the PS3 version.
I have a friend who doesn't have a PS4 and has been playing the PS3 version, and he said when he looks at footage of the PS4, it seems to be a little bit smoother and look a little bit better than what he's playing. But he said it's fine. Like, it's fine.
Yeah.
Um, I think it does run at a slightly higher resolution, but, like, not one that you'd super know. I don't know, but from what I've heard, there is a slight difference, but not one you would probably super care about.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I don't know. It's a great game, but just a lot of the stuff I care about, I feel like were done better in 3 and 4.
Yeah, same.
And
I
also, I
mean,
feel like with all of the characters, I can see the building blocks from previous games that they re-duct tape together to make the new ones, and that's kind of a bummer in a lot of cases.
yeah, I think my biggest issue with P5 is general lack of creativity in the sense of like story and character stuff because it's so close to the last two. And hey, fuck it, last three because Catherine counts.
Yeah.
That team has one story.
And you know what pisses me, like, well, not really pisses me off, but I feel bummed is every fucking time I listen to a podcast or like anything from like general gaming nerd podcast thing and they talk about Persona 5 and how amazing it is and how it's the best one, I can like they're the people that haven't been in the shit like we were. Like, you know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
fucking wish I could have this experience with this game. I'm too far in there, and I can see all the cracks too well. That if I had only played P3 and P4 like once and kind of just moved on to other fandoms, I know I
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to. But I've been talking about P3 since like 5 years ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm too familiar and too close, I feel, and it's hurting because of that, which kind of sucks. So
I will say, in terms of like objectivity, I think, like, so yeah, this is the same game. It's the same game. It's the best version of it, like
yeah,
technically, but I feel like the lack of creativity for me kind of negates that a bit.
hmm
Because, like, sure, it's the best version of a meal that I've had 4 times now.
I also think that thematically this is the weakest one by far.
It's definitely the least consistent and coherent thematically.
I also feel like a lot of the things we were being fed about how this is a game about breaking out of feeling stuck in society was kind of bullshit.
Yeah, no, it's not about that.
I I don't think that's what this game is.
Um, so to be fair, there are some themes that come up towards the very end.
Yeah.
Um, and I mean, I know you've spoiled yourself on
I,
a lot of
I
stuff.
I've been spoiled and have also read up just a fair bit
Yeah.
because I'm not one that's ever cared. To be fair, I knew basically all of P4 going into, and I
Yeah.
enjoyed that one. So
Yeah, I just think it's a little, I enjoyed my time with that game. It's gonna be on my top 10 games of the year list. It's just probably gonna be like in the middle of the list.
same. I feel bad saying this. I think Player Unknown's Battlegrounds might be higher for me this year than P5.
Oh, it's certainly higher for me.
And that's pretty amazing. Like that's a fucking early access multiplayer game. Like that's
Yeah.
super not my jam, and
So
I am actually mad at myself for making that statement. But like I can't deny how I feel, man. I had more
yeah,
fun with that one.
it,
I
it,
spent more
it's
time in PUBG than in P5 this year.
I haven't. I've definitely put more time into P5, but I beat it. So the thing for me, honestly, is it comes down to like, hey, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds is like super rough and kind of bullshit, and it's just one thing, but like it's an experience that I wasn't getting anywhere else.
hmm
And Persona 5 is an experience I could get literally anywhere, and I have been getting for 10 years.
Yeah, I am really happy Hoshino's not doing P6.
Yeah, which I mean, so that's the thing. I still really liked Persona 5, and I'm really looking forward to Project Fantasy, whatever that turns out to be.
Yeah,
So,
same.
even if that's just Fantasy World Persona, I'm fine with that. I like that's the thing about Persona. Like, we're being super critical, but like I enjoy it. It's not creative or original, but it's still something I enjoy. And if he wants to keep giving me the same thing every 5 to 10 years, sure, I'll take
It's a
it.
very frustrating 8 out of 10 for me.
Yeah, like I'll take it and enjoy it, but it's not going to impact me anymore the way it did 10 years ago.
I hate to say it too, but I've kind of been feeling like I feel like the older I get, a little bit less each time these games resonate with me, just because I'm getting that much further away from my adolescence, you know?
Which is especially a shame when you consider what this could have been.
Yeah. So that's been curious. Maybe it's time for me to finally sit down and fucking do a proper P2 run, because like
Same.
slightly older there, and maybe now is where it would resonate with me a bit more, you know.
P2 is the one that I know almost nothing about.
I know.
I know 2 things about Persona 2. I know that there's a character named Joker, and I know that there's a character named Blank that dies.
Yeah. Um I know a fair deal of Innocent Sin. I know the beginning of Eternal Punishment and the end of Eternal Punishment. I know almost nothing about that middle part. So, yeah. I don't know. Maybe at some point I'm fucking I started doing some certification like class thing that my boss wants me to go through. So like for the rest of the year I'm not going to have super a lot of time, and it's probably going to be dedicated to like RPG rewind and video stuff, but maybe next year I'll start that P2 run, who knows.
Yeah.
Um
Well, don't forget Sonic Forces, man.
oh yeah. I'm game sharing that with Antinomi.
Dude, that game's $40.
Yeah,
So
hey, that's a fucking sign.
so that's a sign. Also, not gonna go super into this but there was a GameStop conference this past week, and all of the GameStop store managers went to it, and my store manager came back and he went, so I played Sonic Forces, And I went, yeah, and he went, oh.
Nice.
Hey man, I got mine pre-ordered, got that Persona 5 bonus skin.
Do you know if that comes with the digital one too?
I don't know, it's physical only.
Oh well. I'm sure there'll be a deal. Fuck it. Me and Antinomi are just gonna game share it. I don't feel like spending more than 20 on that game. I'll stream it. I'm gonna stream that fucking game. I've
Yeah,
decided.
you're gonna stream the whole game?
Yep. I also decided I was gonna stream Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite story mode, so
Huh. Got a
that'll
lot
be
of
fun.
streams coming up.
Yeah.
Speaking of streams, I might stream some stuff coming up. So I was thinking about streaming XCOM 2, which I've
That
been
Mario
playing.
Cross Rabbids game.
Hey, yeah. So that I was gonna lead into XCOM 2 for Mario Cross Rabbids, but then the Zelda RPG connection was too strong.
Wait, hold on. I'm getting another text.
Yeah.
Oh, my mom told me to have a good night. She's a good woman.
Oh,
Anyways,
tell
yeah.
your mom I said goodnight.
Okay.
Um,
Oh, she'll think I'm talking about the stoner Zach. I know.
nice. So yeah, I've been playing some XCOM 2, and I've been like glancing occasionally to the side at that new expansion. So if I ever dive in on that expansion, I'll probably stream XCOM 2.
Nice. I've heard really good things about that expansion.
So when I learned that there is now a bond system and that your soldiers create bonds between each other, I think it might be fun to name all the soldiers after like my Twitter friends and, see what bonds form between like Trick and Antinomy.
It'd be a fun time.
Yeah. Maybe I'll stream that at some point next week when I have a little bit more free time. Yeah, that's all. That's all I was gonna. Cause yeah, XCOM 2, I've played that before, so I know. But I've just been getting back into it.
Speaking of dying,
Yeah. Speaking of death,
let's check back in on the Karno Kyoukai frenzy.
once a week it's gonna. Or yeah, once a week, once a
I
podcast.
Whenever I have a free day, I actually just plan on going through the whole bit of the last few.
Yeah.
I actually was gonna do that starting with 3, but after I watched the first part of 3, I'm like, I need to do something else today. I've had enough of Karno Kyoukai for the day.
It's a rough one.
Woo! That was quite the. Actually, yeah, I'm gonna just give a fair warning. Fucking, if you're gonna watch Karno Kyoukai, please be warned that 3 goes very heavy into the sexual assault.
Yeah. So I gave that same warning last time. I tried to be subtle about it, and then I realized that I really shouldn't. Like, hey, legitimate, like, actual trigger warning for rape.
It just starts on a fucking rape scene. It's pretty rough.
Yeah.
That is a weird ass movie.
Yeah.
Because it goes from, oh god, there's this gang of people that are raping this woman, and then it goes to, oh, the woman is like a serial killer, and they need to protect the rapists from being murdered by her, but fuck those guys though, and that it gets really fucking weird. There is at least thankfully the point where everyone involved with the situation was like, why aren't we just letting these fuckers die? They're monsters. And I was like, okay, they at least acknowledge that. Thank you.
Yeah, no, it's not an issue of we need to protect the rapists from the girl that's trying to kill
Because
them.
for a little bit it looks like it, and it got me worried.
Yeah, no. It's specifically about we don't want her to become a killer, you know?
Yeah, like, I thought it was very interesting how they... Well, actually, it's not even the story itself. It is Shiki saying, this is basically my rival. Like,
Yeah.
you and I are the same. And it's very interesting how they parallel off one another. And, like, a lot of that movie is her, like, very clearly probably being able to kill her, like, pretty quickly, but she's kind of trying to convince her before she does that, hey, I just want you to know the reason that I'm after you isn't, like, because anything personal, but, like, you also very clearly enjoy killing as much as I do, and that's a problem. Sort of thing, because she very clearly does not have a very, like, graspable handle on reality. um,
Yeah. The movie is, it's one of the darker in tone because of that. And like I said last time, the rape stuff is not handled as well as it could be. It's
it's
not
not.
it's not the worst. It's not Game of Thrones, but it's also not the most tactful. And
Yeah, it's
so the problem is the problem with Kanoku Nazu and rape, because guess what? There's rape in all of his stories.
and that's the thing you'll frequently hear about him in terms of, because like Fate has it, like but yeah, everything he does
The
has rape.
problem with
That's not handled the
Nasu,
greatest.
yeah. The problem with Nasu and rape is that he is constantly wrapping it up in other supernatural bullshit,
Yeah,
and it becomes so like, like
yeah. It's to a point where it's like, I feel like that could have been excised completely, and like she could have just gotten mugged. You know what I mean? Like, it's
yeah,
very
because
it was very out of place and very off-putting. But I enjoyed the rest of the movie, but that was a very uncomfortable over the whole thing, where it's like really feels like this movie is, and like it's super not, and if you watch it it's super not, but like if you were to describe this movie, it's woman gets raped and then the other characters have to kill her because reasons, and it's really fucking awkward.
yeah,
It's not a comfortable watch at all.
it's not. So the one thing I will say is that it's intentionally not.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be a dark, uncomfortable movie, and you're supposed to be watching the unraveling of a character with both like physical and mental issues occurring.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's when it gets wrapped up in like this supernatural bullshit of like, well, she actually has this going on. It's like, okay, so which one's the important one? Is it the rape or is it the supernatural bullshit,
Yeah.
And kind of makes you wonder why they did it, why he did it the way he did. And unfortunately that is not to get super into too many spoilers, but hey, you looking forward to that Heavens feel?
Yeah, I know the shitty parts of that already.
Yeah.
Um
So,
yeah.
it's a thing. Also, on that note, talking about prototype characters, which is one of the most fun parts of Karen no Kyoukai,
I was
character,
thinking
that character is Proto Sakura.
that I was wondering that the whole movie.
Yeah.
Um
That character is Proto Sakura down to the rape.
yeah. Like, it's pretty not tasteful through the whole thing.
Nope.
There's a point where like the dude is like describing like, yeah, she wasn't feeling any pain, so it wasn't any fun, and the other what's it, Micaiah, is that his name,
Yeah.
is legit just like, just shut the fuck up. And at that point I was like, okay, they at least are gonna acknowledge that this person is a piece of shit that probably does deserve to die.
Yeah, absolutely. I liked that moment for that character because there's that one, and then there's another one where they do talk about later where he was like, honestly, he doesn't really care that they
if
died.
he died. Yeah. But the problem is she could continue killing other people after she's done killing them.
Yeah, the problem is that she's become out of control.
Yeah. And to be fair, at the end, when she gets to like a really bad mental place, like a huge catastrophic thing happens, and if that happened in like an urban area, that would have been really bad probably. So
Yeah.
But yeah, not a comfortable watch, and I probably would not recommend that movie to most people, but if you're interested in the rest of the series, I mean, it's kind of important, I have to assume, to watch the third movie.
So the third movie is probably, if you're super uncomfortable with seeing rape but want to watch the rest of Karen or Kyoukai, I would say you could skip it. Um,
Okay. That's good at least.
it's worth watching to get the whole picture, but if you super don't want to but want to watch the rest, you can. Um, I would say other than like 3 and 6 are the ones that like you don't lose too much. 6 is
Uh,
bad. I don't like 6.
Shiki is still really great.
She's so fucking cool.
She's my Skype avatar.
And mine is another character, Kokai character, because guess what? I decided to rewatch the movies because of
hell
talking
yeah.
about them. I rewatched 1 through 4. I'm gonna rewatch 5 as soon as I get some free time.
I'm excited to watch that one because it has my name in it.
Yeah. So, in credit scenes, post credit scenes.
Yeah, I started watching those. So
Okay, I don't
watched the one
remember.
for
I don't
3.
remember what's the one at the end of 3, but I know
Uh,
that the one at the end of 4 is important.
Okay. So yeah, that's going.
Oh, how do you like the other characters now? Because you didn't like anyone but Shiki before.
Well, I think it wasn't so much I disliked everyone else. It's just I didn't know enough about them. If
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
I like Mikaya more. He's very clearly. Is he Proto Shiro a little bit?
No,
I think you've said. Okay.
there is a Proto Shiro.
Okay.
Um, at least in terms of visuals, there's a Proto Shiro. Mikia is half Proto Shiro, half Proto Shiki from Tsukihime.
Okay. Oh god, that's confusing. Because
Eh.
I think Shiki would be Proto Shiki. Yeah, but
She is.
no, nice. No, just because like the only thing I got because like there's that point in the second movie where he's like super convinced that she's not the killer based off no reason other than like he likes to see the good in her. Like he has
Hey,
like an idealism that Shiro kind of carries to.
let's break that down. He's convinced she's not the killer because he has a crush on her.
Yeah, that's fair. He's no, I like him. I don't know much
so
about.
the thing about movie 2 to keep in mind too is that they are teenagers.
Yeah,
They're kids in high school in movie 2, and the rest of the series they're adults.
yeah.
You know, late, like I don't know the exact ages, but like they're out of high school age. You know.
Well, Mikia says when he's talking to that one dude that he learns about the Kita situation with that he dropped out of college recently and got into a huge fight with his parents over it,
Yeah.
and that's why he wasn't asking them for money. So like they have to be like college aged, which makes sense.
Yeah, totally. You'll. I mean, if you really want to look into it, there are dates at the start of each one. So.
Yeah, that's true. So.
So hey, also you starting to see how like movie 3 is set before movie 1.
Yeah, that's starting to play off better because you see why her arm gets fucked up in this one.
Yeah.
So stuff like that does start to. That's finally starting to play for me, and it's not as.
So
um,
here's
like,
the fun
disconcerting.
part.
Mhm.
Movie 4 is going to be your final piece that
Okay.
places it all together because starting from movie 5 they just become chronologic.
Okay, that's
so,
fair.
Yeah, movie 4 is between 2 and 3,
Mm-hmm.
and then 5 is after 1, and then it's just 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yeah. I like Smoker Lady so far, but I don't even remember her name.
She's super cool. That's my avatar. Tokyo.
Yeah.
Tokyo. Awazaki.
I am looking forward to seeing how she gets involved because I'm sure that'll be in movie 4 because that's after 2, right?
Yep, she plays heavily into 4 and 5.
I figured that she'd be explained at some point
Yeah.
because she's kind of there, and then in the past she's not, and then
Well,
in this
she's
one,
their
she is
boss,
again.
you know?
Yeah, so I'm like, there's gonna be some point where they meet up, so I'm
Yeah.
excited to see how that happens.
She runs a cool magic shop tech agency thing?
Yeah. And also, as far as I know, 3 is where the name Mystic Eyes of Death Perception first get dropped. Which is still my favorite thing. It's so stupid. I love it so much. And the effect is so goofy. I love it.
No, man, you see death.
Yeah.
You can perceive
Twist.
death.
Twist.
Oh,
Yeah, I love the stupid poetic language of like I could see the death in your beautiful telekinetic strands. It's like this is goofy as fuck. I
I
love
don't
it.
remember where her famous line comes from about how she can kill anything. I don't remember if it's in 3. Because
It's oh, is that where she says like I can kill even a god or something like that?
yeah,
Yeah, that's in
she has
3.
this dumb famous line of like, I can kill anything, even if God's alive, I can kill it. And it's like, oh,
Yeah, I think in the subs I was watching it was like I can kill anything, comma even a god or something
yeah.
like that.
In the ones I'm familiar with, it's I can kill God if he exists.
It's pretty good. Now, Shiki's still my favorite, though I do like the supporting cast. It's like I said
Yeah.
just before, I just didn't have enough context to like I don't know why I should care about them, so.
Yeah, totally. I think you'll like Smoker Lady. She's cool.
I like the little character bit where she's like, how the fuck are you gonna find the person you need to like take down if I don't give you their photo? And she's like, I'll know. And then she just walked out.
Yeah.
But yeah, Karno Kyoukai continues to be good. I feel like if 5 is as good as people tell me it is,
I feel like your expectations have been built up now.
yeah, they have been.
5 is okay, man. I'm gonna cue you into something. 5 is weird.
Okay.
5 is weird and experimental.
Okay. The more I watched this, though, so, like, I mean, I did enjoy this movie despite the heavy content.
Yeah.
I do say, though, in a weird way, I think this is slowly starting to overtake Unlimited... it's slowly starting to overtake Zero. I don't know. I'm very flip-floppy on whether or not I like Zero or Unlimited Blade Works more, because I still kind of maintain that I think the first part of Unlimited Blade Works was a little weak to me. But I liked the last part a lot, and Zero was just consistently good. But this is slowly working its way up to being... Well, like, I definitely like this more than the first half of Unlimited Blade Works. I think I'm starting to like it more than Zero, but not as much as the later stuff in Unlimited Blade Works. I'm not sure yet.
Man, you're in there. This is like pure Type Moon, so...
Yeah. It honestly, like... This is gonna sound a little goofy. I kind of dig seeing this sort of world building and wacky shit without the servant stuff being kind of the content. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Fate is... It's so weird because Fate has overtaken so much, but, like... I always felt like Fate was a good chapter, but not the best starting point, you know?
Because, like, they've meant, like, there are ghosts. I think they mentioned demons at some point. And this girl just straight up has, like, ESP. Like, it's such a fucking smorgasbord. Like, she pulls out, like, a Ouija board that she bought off of Amazon or some shit. Well, like, not Amazon, because that didn't exist yet. But, like, she spent her money on some Ouija board, and she's like, it has latent magical powers. And it's like, they just have everything here. I love it.
Yeah, for sure. And that's part of why I loved the little 2-episode flashback arc in Fate Zero, is because those 2 episodes felt more like
it's just a vampire story.
Yeah, and it felt more
Well,
like non-Fate Type Moon, you know?
Yeah.
Because that's the kind of shit you'd see in Tsukihime or Karen or Kyoukai.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm really starting to dig this though.
Nice.
So, well, I mean, I already dug it, but like I keep liking what I see of this story more and more.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see how the multiple personality thing plays out, and the final, like the episode preview for this one kind of hinted that something's going to happen with that in movie 4.
Oh, yeah, yeah, totally. Because that's not been brought up, you know, since 2.
Yeah.
It wasn't brought up in 1 or 3.
Yeah, so I'm curious to see what the fuck is up with that. Though, so my interpretation was that it wasn't brought up in one, but then there's that one point where she's talking with the ghost at the rooftop, and she just like gets the crazy eyes going, and then she's like, "Guess I'm gonna have to fucking kill you" or something like that. And retroactively, I was like, "Oh, that's the other personality taking over." So we'll see. But yeah, in three, I didn't notice anything. So
Um,
she seemed pretty samey throughout. So
do you remember how two ended?
um, with all I remember is her with the knife at Micaiah's throat and crying.
Yeah, there was a little extra thing, but
Oh, was it the car?
yeah,
Okay. That was in the episode preview too, so I was like, oh.
yeah.
Oh, actually, you know what? The fun thing? I didn't realize that was her until that episode preview.
What was her?
Uh, getting struck by the car.
Okay, sure. Yeah. Well,
Because
I actually think episode two doesn't show it. I think episode two cuts to black and you hear a car noise, if I remember correctly.
they show a person that has her hair going in front of a car and it cuts to black, but then episode 4 has her clearly on a stretcher, and I think they referenced something, and I think they cut to that again, and I was like, oh, like, there was enough in that episode preview where I'm like, oh, that thing was her. For some reason, but like in episode 2, I didn't even realize that was her. I just saw like, oh, that's the hair, but like, I never thought that was supposed to be her. I don't know, so it's weird, but
Yeah. Episode four is like the shortest one, so
okay.
I often like when I do chronological watches, I often just consider like 2 and 4 one thing.
All right, so you know who also makes weird world building, surreal, unexplainable things? A
Who?
man by the name of David Lynch,
Oh boy.
who I've now considered the more I've thought about this a lot today. I think that David Lynch is American Nasu.
Fuck off.
You can fight me on this.
I feel like both fan bases will be angry at you for that one.
Probably. It's also the worst comparison ever. So you honestly want to know the only comparison I can really draw between the two? They both write dialogue in a way that I'm convinced neither of them have ever talked to a goddamn human being in their lives, because no fucking people talk the way they write characters.
He wanted to save the girl.
Yep. Damn good coffee. So I've heard a lot about Twin Peaks in my life.
Yeah.
Like a lot. My cousin really, really fucking loves Twin Peaks, and my sister's also a very big fan. Like, actually, fun story. When I wanted to watch the series, because for the longest time when my sister still lived with us before, she went to college, moved out, all that, I remember as a kid in like our in the computer room we have like a rack of like family movies or whatever, and just all of the movies that like I never bought, everyone else's movies just go there. For the longest time we had a VHS box set that was just every Twin Peaks episode from season 1 and 2. And I actually went back in there the other day when I was like, I'm finally gonna fucking watch this thing, just to see if we still have that box set, but I'm pretty sure my sister took it when she moved out finally, so and I was like, I just want to watch this fucking thing on VHS just to get the 90s, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But sadly, I couldn't do that, so I bought the Blu-ray. Actually, one thing I do want to say, the reason I decided to watch it was because I figured I finally...
Blu-ray?
Yeah.
Isn't it just on Netflix?
So here's the story behind that, because that's going to factor into it.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
I decided I wanted to watch Twin Peaks finally because season 3 just ended, and I've seen every fucking reaction under the sun, from this is the best goddamn thing that's ever been on television to fuck David Lynch, all of this was bullshit and means nothing, people that like this are fucking idiots. Like, I have seen the whole gambit of reactions to this thing, and I just kind of want to see at this point. I originally intended actually earlier in the year to just watch Twin Peaks and be caught up in time for season 3, and that just kind of never happened. Um, so I was like, yeah, I kind of said, yeah, fuck it. Oh, we don't have the VHS tapes, so I just immediately went on my phone, bought the Blu-ray. Literally when I opened the package and held the Blu-ray in my hands, I thought, wait, isn't this on Netflix? Like, I just kind of forgot. And I know I've talked to people previously that are like, yeah, it's on Netflix, so I don't know what I was thinking, but I have it now. But yeah, and to be fair, from what I know, apparently actually the Blu-ray remaster of it is actually better quality than the Netflix stream.
Oh, well, there you go.
And also, it does come with Fire Walk With Me and all of the deleted scenes from Fire Walk With Me.
Which were released like 2 years ago.
Yeah, do you know the story behind that? I looked it up.
They turned it into like a separate movie.
Yeah, there was a French company that somehow got the rights after it was released on home video to all deleted footage from Fire Walk With Me. And it was a fucking fiasco for years for that to be able to become, like, released. Lynch finally got the rights back at some point recently. So, yeah, there's like a separate disc that's like Twin Peaks: The Missing Pieces. Apparently, there's a fan edit online that just takes it all and converts it into one full movie. And it actually, like, literally, the missing pieces are just... These are scenes that fit super well into Fire Walk With Me that were just cut for whatever reason. I don't know all the fucking details, because, I mean, I don't know a lot about how Twin Peaks goes. So...
Interesting.
But apparently it fits together super well to the point where I know some people are like, don't even watch Fire Walk With Me, just watch the fan cut. I might just watch Fire Walk With Me, then the missing pieces, then watch the fan cut just to get the official experience.
I think you'll probably not.
Oh, really?
I mean, like, I think it's gonna be a one or the other situation. I don't see you watching Fire Walk With Me 3 times.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it could also be a situation too where it's like, if I ever feel the need to because I mean, kind of like you go back and watch Karno Kyoukai chronologically. Maybe it's like when I feel like revisiting this,
yeah,
I'll
sure,
take this route. You know, I'll probably do that. The only thing, well, okay, I have a lot to say about Twin Peaks. Actually, that's a fucking lie. But yeah, I've always known of Twin Peaks just because it's super influential. I feel like some of the effect is a little bit lost on me because I'm so familiar with, like, Deadly Premonition being the big one, and, you know, like, a lot of the surreal elements of Twin Peaks have kind of become pop culture to this point, to the point where a lot of what was I wanted... Because this was, like, 92, right?
Super early 90s, yeah.
Super early 90s. I know it was before I was born. Because I know even it's before my sister's time, all things considered. She got into it later, I know.
Yeah.
I feel like a little bit of the effect has been dampened watching this in 2017.
Especially because even if you don't know much about Twin Peaks, the fact that it gets weird is known.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've seen The Red Room, you know?
I've seen The Red Room. I've seen the strobe light Laura freaking out and, like, walking like a zombie and then screaming in the camera scene.
Yeah.
I've seen some stuff with that dude in, like, the denim jacket. Like, I've seen some of the jump scary moments. Which actually I was shocked one happens as early as episode 2, and it actually super caught me off guard. Oh, you want to fucking know? There's a point where, the log lady is introduced and she's flickering the lights and my kitchen light blew out in real life. Scared the fuck out of me.
Man, I'm sure I've told this story a million times on this podcast alone, but when I was playing through Silent Hill 2 the first time and I first saw Pyramid Head in the apartments and my fucking power went out.
Oh, that's good. That being said, though, actually, speaking of Log Lady, I've been enjoying the surreal shit just because of how fucking goofy it is. Like, literally, it's just, who's that lady? Oh, we call her the log lady, and she's just off in the corner, like, flicking the lights on and off. Like, that's fucking hilarious. That's so good. Um, like, the whole thing with Dale Cooper and the coffee, which also, by the way, I think it took me this long, and I'm actually kind of embarrassed to admit, I always wondered why my sister named her Beagle Cooper.
Oh,
I think I finally understand now.
she really likes Twin Peaks.
Yeah. No, so actually that's one thing that I do want to start this off with. I asked her a little bit growing up, like what's so special about it? Like, what's the deal or whatever, other than the fact it gets weird. And she basically told me something like, it's a drama about suburban life that gets dark in a way that, like, I enjoyed a lot. Now, not to get too personal, well, I guess by extension, hers domestic situation has not always been the greatest growing up. And I could say that because no one is in this house right now. Woo! And also just the fact we live in a small town in the middle of nowhere with some weird fucking drama that, I mean, it's a small town, there's always weird fucking drama. And just weird, quirky characters. I could see how a young her could relate to it. So in a weird way, as I watched these early episodes, I got the appeal through her eyes, and that was kind of a nice experience for me, I'd say. Which was really interesting. Other than that, though, I've only watched, like, the first two episodes. This is the goofiest, fucking cheesiest comparison I can make, but I really have to forgive me on this. I have no better vocabulary. It reminds me of being a middle schooler watching Evangelion for the first time, and knowing that it has a reputation, and knowing that there's a masquerade going on for the earlier part of the series where they don't quite get there yet. And it's just a matter of me being like, okay, when do they get to this shit, you know? Like,
Yeah.
I'm waiting for it. Yeah, it's just quirky and goofy right now, and I mean, I'm enjoying it. I know that, like, Lynch fans are interesting because I know that there's a lot of people, like, I mean, even without the whole, like, recent controversial seemingly ending of season 3, I know there's a lot of people that are just like, it's weird for the sake of being weird, or there's a lot of people that are like, no, everything in this series has meaning.
So here's the thing about that.
Yeah.
I fall pretty squarely in the middle.
It's kind of weird you say that, because I've kind of, even the first two episodes, I'm like, I'm sure there's a lot of this that are just like, let's fuck with them, but there's a few things where, like, there's a few ominous shots of just weird shit where I'm like, I feel like he's hinting at something. There's a very peculiar traffic light shot that lingers for longer than I feel comfortable with, where it just slowly goes from green to yellow to red, and I'm like, that's something. So
I feel like David Lynch is an interesting man.
mm-hmm.
He's a man that I feel like sometimes has something to say, sometimes doesn't, and I feel like he'll never let you know which is which. To where even if he has a point to make in his things, and not just like a point to make or something to say, even if his weird stuff adds up to something, he does not feel obligated to give you any hint to what it adds up to.
Mm-hmm.
And that creates a lot of interesting fan theory stuff. I personally find it a little frustrating sometimes because I do feel a lot of it is weird for the sake of weird. And I think, like, sometimes he's just throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks.
Yeah.
Do you know the deal with production errors in Twin Peaks?
I know the fact that the killer is revealed at some point, and he and Mark Frost never intended that to happen, and it kind of led to some really shit episodes. That's all I know.
So I don't think it's exactly that, and I don't even know if I want to tell you because it'll paint how you view some things.
Okay.
It's yeah, I get people that know what I'm talking about know it's very well publicized at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like common knowledge, but yeah.
Okay.
If anything, I'll tell you after if you want.
Okay. Yeah, I'll probably, because, like, I'll probably make pretty good progress on this just because I am enjoying watching it, and I can get the details then. Right
Yeah.
now I'm right now I'm fairly positive on it.
I
Um,
enjoyed my time with it for what it's worth.
yeah,
I watched this years ago now. I don't really remember a whole lot from it, but I remember enjoying it. I never got to the end of season 2 though.
Oh, to add to actually, I was gonna say to add to what deluded me further in terms of reaction. I've at two separate points in my life in high school. I was over at a friend's house and he was like, "Hey, you want to watch this Eraserhead movie? It's supposed to be really fucking weird." I was like, "Yeah, sure." And then it was like, "Yeah, that's really fucking weird." And then like 2 years later, like junior year, um, I had the same thing where a different friend was like, "Hey, want to watch this weird ass Mulholland Drive movie? It's supposed to be really fucking weird." And then like it wasn't until a few years after that where I'm like, "Oh, those were made by the same person." That explains a lot. So I know a lot of people Twin Peaks was their first Lynch thing. Well, I mean
Yeah.
culturally too. I think it was one of his earlier things. Am I right or?
I don't know.
Okay, yeah. Because I know Eraserhead was kind of like more of like an art film thing that wasn't super in the public mind. I know Twin Peaks was like a phenomenon for a while there. Um,
Was it?
so
I always thought Twin Peaks was like a cult classic thing.
I don't know. I've had it described to me, to be fair, maybe this is just my sister being really into it, where she said like in the early 90s it was all over, but then season 2 soured a lot of people.
You know what? I think that might be it. Yeah. Hey, to
Yeah.
be fair, season 2 gets really bad.
I've like that's at least how I've had it explained to me is like the killer got revealed, which wasn't supposed to happen, and it gets really bad, and then the final episode is really weird. That's all I know about it. So
Yeah, I don't think that's 100% accurate.
okay,
I think yeah, but you'll see.
okay, yeah. It's cool so far. It's really weird because it's one of those things where it's like I feel like I should have seen this forever ago, and I'm just like
Yeah.
I'm doing it
I
now,
mean,
you know.
it's
So
influenced a lot.
yeah.
Although to be fair, I do think some people get a little carried away with saying how much it's influenced things.
I know it's influenced Link's Awakening Majora's Mask because the one guy said in an interview that he
Yeah,
picked up a lot from those.
but I mean, like, you'll see those people who are like similar to how like
JoJo's.
yeah, people get a little carried away with how JoJo being influential. There are people who,
Yeah.
if anything is set in a small town, it's Twin Peaks.
Twin Peaks. Yeah. Or like anything that's slightly weird I've seen too.
Twin
Like
Peaks.
yeah. So but yeah, I'm excited to continue watching. I really dug it so far. Oh, the only other thing I have to say is I'm sure this is just an early 90s thing. The fucking soundtrack
Oh,
has the same vibe to it as like a PS1 like Resident Evil game. And I can't stop cuz like sometimes cuz part of it I think is just like they got B tier actors and part of it is just like probably like they told them to like deliver lines in certain weird ways, but it feels like this could be a PS1 game
nice.
sometimes, and I can't shake the feeling.
I also remember feeling that like when I watched it, I was like, "Oh man, this is so early '90s that it feels '80s."
Oh yeah, I've definitely felt that with some things before. Dude, like anything that's like 2007 to 2012, I like that's such a fucking blur of time to me, you know.
Yeah.
Decade transitions are weird like that. I have a weird thing with film too where like I can tell when a movie was made in the 70s or the 80s, but
Oh
then
yeah, absolutely.
like there was such a weird transition between those two decades, and then like 80s to 90s you can still feel it, but like it's less so. 90s to 2000s was another big fucking jump, but like I've started to feel we're starting to get into that blurry area again.
Yeah.
Happens in waves. But yeah, that's Twin Peaks. I'm gonna keep watching it. I'm excited to see all the weird shit. Uh, I can also feel how a lot of like plot threads are being left to dangle because they're like, hey, we can. I honestly would not be surprised if they wrote that pilot and were then like, okay, we need to make a fucking TV series. What's all of the loose ends that we can leave that we can then explore later on and make into something? Because there's a lot of shit that's just thrown out there right away.
Yeah.
There's a lot to unpack.
Yeah. For what it's worth, I always found, like, I remember thinking that, like, the first 2 or 3 episodes were the strongest, so.
Yeah, I'll see. I will see.
It meanders a bit at times.
Other than that, we had the combined experience of playing Gundam Versus.
Yes.
So, before that, do we want to talk about the Dissidia beta that we both hated?
Sure. Hey, I fucking hate Dissidia NT.
I played like 2 matches. I thought it was garbage, so I deleted it. We both got codes for the closed beta, and they're not feeling it.
No, I really dislike it. The control scheme is garbage.
It feels bad. The interface is terrible. 3v3 is kind of not fun.
3v3 is a hectic mess that game is not built for. Keep in mind, this is coming from someone who really enjoyed the PSP ones.
Mm-hmm.
I had a lot of fun with those games.
Same for what it's worth. I mean, I didn't get super into them, but I liked Duodecim a fair bit.
Yeah. This game feels terrible.
It doesn't control well.
It controls bad, and like the control scheme is bad.
And to be fair, sometimes those PSP games weren't the greatest either, but they felt better than this.
They did, for sure. And 3v3 is such a mistake for this game.
Yeah.
It's such a hectic mess, and you never know what's going on. Also, so I compared the two quite a bit, and I think the thing I walked away with was I did not feel like I was playing as these characters. Like, I didn't feel like, yeah, I'm Cloud. But the minute I booted up Gundam Versus, it was like, I'm the fucking Gundam, you know? Like,
yeah.
It's such a difference, because they're very similar in a lot of ways.
Yeah, they're both, like, more arena-based, like, team battle, where, like, there are, like, more than 2 players, and, like also, like, pseudo-fighting games, in a weird way. Like, Gundam Versus also has, like, third-person shooter elements to it that are kind of in there. Yeah, I know I've talked about the Vita Gundam Versus game, which was, from what I know, the only, like, that was the first English Gundam Versus game we got. Maybe we got, like, 1 or 2 PS2 games. And I talked a little bit about it on the podcast forever ago. And, I mean, it's enjoyable for what it is, but also, too, like, this is the real fucking deal. I know that, to some extent, they made this game to appeal a little bit more to Western sensibilities. Like, this is kind of their, like, soft reboot of Gundam Versus, to the point where this is just titled Gundam Versus. But yeah, you and I played, I streamed, and the stream archive's up, and a bunch of people that watched me stream played along with us, and I played with Johnson. Yeah, it's just really fun.
Yeah. It's good for right now, because it's kind of like we're both into Gundam right now, you know?
I never stopped, baby.
Yeah, but like Gundam has become like a thing on your channel now.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, Gunpla hasn't helped. That's kind of been a driving factor for it.
Yeah.
How's Zeta going, by the way?
Oh, really good. I'm on, I think, episode 11.
Okay, it's 1/5 mark. That's good. That's good.
Yeah, like I said on the last podcast, I'm taking it slowly. I watch probably like an episode or 2 every other day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm enjoying myself. Female, not Fraubo character finally showed up again. So.
Oh yeah, Fa.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Did Quattro Bagina get his signature mobile suit yet?
Oh yeah, baby.
Oh yeah, how you liking the Hyakushiki?
Oh boy, so I did see it in Gundam Versus first.
Yeah.
So I was kind of expecting it. But,
what a douche.
That's a fucking mech, alright.
What a douchebag.
I like how they try to explain why it's fucking gold.
Yeah, it's anti-beam paint.
Fuck off.
But so here's my problem. Why the fuck don't you have that on everything?
I know. No, man, it's expensive.
Now, to be fair, if I recall, they actually bring that back in 2016 because in Iron-Blooded Orphans, which is, to be fair, an alternate setting completely, they bring up a thing like all the mobile suits in that continuity have like anti-beam weaponry like armor. So you need to get up close and fucking smash them with like clubs and shit if you want to do damage to a mobile suit or do like big guns type thing. So it's like a lot grittier. So it's like I kind of like that they brought that idea back for something. But in Zeta it's really goofy because it's like, why the fuck wouldn't you do this for everything else?
Yeah.
Has Jared done anything else yet?
He's about.
Yeah.
There was a lady, and then some things happened with the lady, and now he's kind of upset.
Yeah. Camille and Jared have a very interesting rivalry that I don't think I've quite seen done exactly that same way in any other show. And I think it might be my second favorite Gundam rivalry besides like the obvious Amuro and Char. It goes really interesting places.
Good.
So yeah, I'm glad you like it so far.
Yeah, can't believe
it's
Haru's
a series. Oh yeah.
Haru, rather.
Yeah.
No, Haru, the character of Persona.
Yes. I'm trying to think if a certain thing's happened yet, but I think you would have referenced it if it happened, so I'm gonna shut up now.
Okay.
But yeah. No, Gundam Versus is really good though. I'm definitely picking that up day one.
Hey, does it have any kind of single player story mode type thing?
I think there's like a general arcade mode. I'm not sure if there's a story. There might be.
So, like, honestly, I'm still like, I really want to get Gundam Versus, but I'm a little on the fence just because it's $60. It's kind of a lot. Um, but that's kind of my big thing with Dissidia, where like those PSP games were very like, they had a story mode with like a world map and like all this content. And like, I get that this one's based on an arcade game, so it's a bit more of like a fighting thing, but
Yeah.
it has no single player.
Oh, I do. So this might not exactly be what you want, but I do know that there's co-op missions that I think you could also do single player, where you have like a giant fucking mobile armor, like the Big Zam, or like other like that thing from the end of 8th MS Team, and you just have to fucking take it down.
Okay. I mean,
So
yeah.
there's like some versus AI type shit, but maybe not exactly what you're looking for.
So do you know how the story in Dissidia works?
I played a little bit of Duodecim's back in the day.
Yeah. Well, yeah, yeah. So you know that. Do you know how the new one works?
No.
So I don't know.
I figured it was just like an arcade versus setup. I didn't think there was one.
Yeah, so what they've said is that there will be an original story in there, but it's not a story mode. It's that every couple of matches you'll get a cutscene.
Oh, yeah. That's happening more and more ever since Titanfall 1 did a thing where the story mode for that game was literally the multiplayer with audio logs playing in the background.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this is gonna be multiplayer or you have to do single player matches, but like, fuck
Oh.
that.
Yeah, that's goofy.
Like, just make a story mode. Just make an arcade mode.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the whole fun of Dissidia for me is it being a big dumb crossover of Final Fantasy things. So if that's reduced to a cutscene every couple of matches, that's not worth $60.
Yeah.
Dissidia had like a story mode for every character, unlockable characters, like unlockable story modes. No, it's fine. You know what else has a story?
What?
Final Fantasy IX.
Oh, you're playing Final Fantasy 9 again?
So I booted up that Final Fantasy IX.
How's that going?
It's good. So I've played Final Fantasy IX before, but I never got to finish it because my discs were all scratched up.
Mhm.
Hey, buying used on eBay in like fucking 2003 was not the best.
You say that, but that's how I got my copy, and it works like a charm.
Well, so I bought the PS3 digital version like years ago now, like 2012 when I was going through all these old games again. And I've played disc 1 of Final Fantasy 9 a decent handful of times. So going through it again is kind of like, yeah, it's this again. I'm looking forward to hopefully getting to like 2, 3 and 4 now cuz like I want to finish this game and see it in like its full context.
It's my favorite one. I feel like that story just hits everything I like about Final Fantasy stories.
Yeah, it's really good.
I know a lot of people have like gripes with that game that like layer on like some of the party members aren't the most relevant to the plot, the battle system. So I've never had this problem with this game. I know a lot of people though that are like, "Oh, the battle system's super fucking slow."
I have a solution for those people.
The HD speed up thing.
No, I don't know anything
Oh.
about HD.
Oh, you're not playing the HD PC port or whatever?
Oh no, yeah, no, like I said, I have it on PS3.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
But it's like, hey, that game also allows you to up the battle speed.
Yeah.
Put that on fast and you're good.
And also too, I know some people just don't like the art style, which I heavily disagree. I like those character designs a lot, actually.
So I feel like the character designs work. So Final Fantasy 9 is I'm so happy it exists because it is a PS1 version of the Super Nintendo era of Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy 9 is a follow-up to like 4 and 5, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like 7 and 8 were going in a very different direction, and I
And
love them for
they
that, but
they do they do keep some of the 7 and 8 stuff a little bit, so that's in there too, but like it feels
yeah.
much more in line with the Super Nintendo games.
I mean, let's be real here. Final Fantasy 9 is Final Fantasy 4.
Yeah.
Like let's be real. But
Yeah.
it's Final Fantasy 4 with the it's Final Fantasy 4 as told by 7 and 8, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm enjoying that. The PS1 era of Final Fantasy is my favorite era. 7 is still my favorite game, but you know.
Yeah. 9 is one of my I like it that's definitely somewhere in my top 5 favorite games ever. So, it's a good one. I like that game a lot.
Yeah. I like Blue Mages.
Oh god, same. I've kind of cooled on Blue Mages as I've realized their limits as I got older, but as a kid I was all over Blue Mages.
So the thing about Blue Mages is that like 90% of their skills are garbage because it's
Yeah.
gimmicky trash that only works.
Goblin Punch.
Yeah, it's gimmicky trash that only works in weird circumstances on casual mobs. But if you get that mighty guard and that white wind, you know.
Yeah.
My last playthrough of 7 had actually my last 2 playthroughs of 7 had Cloud as Blue Mage. And
Well,
it
'cause
works
you gotta get
so
the
well.
Midgar Zolom skill.
Oh, hell yeah, I got it.
Beta Fire or whatever it's called.
Dude, Cloud with a maxed out enemy command materia is so nice.
I've never done that. When I replay that game, I should do that.
Oh,
Just for funsies.
it's so worth it, man. Also,
Yeah.
just like getting
It's not that hard to get, if I recall, too, right?
no, not at all. You've got to
Yeah.
know if you want to get things in their optimal point, you got to kind of know where they are. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's fine. I will say it's a little more annoying in 9 because you have to do the whole eating mechanic.
Yeah.
Whereas in 7, you just had to get like hit by it, I'm pretty sure.
Mm-hmm.
But it's fine. Blue mages are cool.
Yeah, I love Kina.
Yeah.
So good. But yeah, I feel like that's it for what we've been talking about. We can move on to some emails.
Hell yeah!
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
So,
I'm Zach.
yeah. Whew, good one. I'm gonna edit this in Karno Kyoukai order.
God, fuck you.
I'm gonna make this podcast into 7 chunks, and then it's gonna go in different orders.
Yeah, okay, so it's, what is it? It's like we start with minutes like 30 to 50,
Yeah.
and then we cut back to minutes
0 through 20.
Yeah.
This is good. Then like you get like an hour to an hour and a half.
And then the email section will be like the final bit where it's like the last emails are chronological.
Yes. This is good.
And then in like 7 years we'll do an epilogue.
Good. All right.
The last email.
So this first one's from Sonia. I just want to make sure that they don't want to go by a different name. Okay, hello Rosin and friends. First off, how are you all? Hope you guys are having a good day or week or whatever. It was very busy, but I'm fine.
Yeah, mine's busy and miserable, and tomorrow's gonna be a nightmare, but thanks.
Woo! I watched your last WAFP video, and I have something kind of related to that email you got about how not one person is responsible for the success of a game and such. This is going to be a bit weird since I know you don't really talk about SMT anymore, but here it goes. It's fine. We still talk about SMT and shit. It's just like
I mean, we had like 20 to 30 minutes of SMT 4 Apocalypse and P5 talk here.
It's just not my primary interest area longer, sort of thing. It's just a thing I like now. I see that kind of situation happen with Megami Tensei series as well, specifically the main games in the series. I see and hear a lot of discussion about the direction that SMT is taking lately, and a good portion of those discussions are saying how they don't like it. With how SMT4 Apocalypse handled the characters in both the main routes and how, as far as I know, but could be wrong, Strange Journey Redux has an entirely new route with a noticeably younger character in Alex. Some fans are saying that SMT is straying too far from its roots, or becoming too much like Persona. I can't really say I disagree with them, but I'm not a huge fan of some of the writing and plot decisions made in recent games. But those fans also tend to point the blame at specific people and talk about how SMT was better when so-and-so person was working on SMT. I see that when people compare Doi and Kaneko, for example, or even when they compare Tadashi Satomi with Katsuro Hashino. You can't really blame or praise just one person, since, like you guys said last time, a lot of people work on a video game, and it seems weird to place the failure or success on a game squarely on one individual. I feel like the current direction of SMT has more to do with Atlus either trying to appeal to a wider audience, or Atlus is trying to pander to a specific group of fans. Some of Doi's commentary on his design of New Demons and Strange Journey Redux kind of hint at this. It's probably too much to wish for a new SMT game similar to the games during the PS2 era, but I'd really like a game that isn't in the same style that more recent games are in, if that makes any sense. Anyway, this email was way too long, but what do you think of that? I'd like to know, but if you guys don't have to answer, or you guys don't have to answer if you don't want to. Thanks a bunch, Sonia. Thanks, Sonia. This is interesting considering I said earlier in this podcast, God, I'm glad that Hashino's moving on to different things. I feel like the weird fine balance between this is certain people in bigger, higher level positions certainly do have an influence that is felt in all of their work. In my case, I feel like a lot of the gripes I have with P5 are because of Hoshino kind of retreading some of his earlier, like, ideas, if that makes sense. But that being said, though, I clearly do think that SMT4 Imagine is a case of, like, that's a design by committee game that was like, okay, what the fuck do we do for this one? So I kind of feel both ways on this.
I just want to point out to everyone listening that I caught that, yes, he said SMT4 Imagine.
Oh. Oh, I'm a fraud. SMT4 Apocalypse.
Yeah, it's fine. I just wanted everyone to know that I'm with all of you, okay, that I caught it. No, so when we say, or at least when I say, I don't want to speak for you, but when I say that games are made by a lot of people, so oftentimes we latch onto one person. That's true, and that's especially true when people are praising or attacking a game for everything that's in it. So you'll often see a lot of people be like attributing the monster designs, the battle system, the art direction, the story, like all that gets attributed to like one person. Yeah. And all of the like, hey, games normally have a lot of writers, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, the director, the producer, those people are responsible for more than, let's say, one of the random writers or random art designers. Um, so yeah, I think that it's absolutely valid for someone to be like, hey, after like 3 games I've played by that guy, I know I don't like his style.
Yeah.
And you can't say that he's the one that made that game completely, but after a while you can totally pick out individual creators within the teams that you know you like or dislike.
Like even with Souls, like people could pick out the one that Miyazaki was not as involved with. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah. And
you can
and
feel
that
that.
game tried to do something very different.
Exactly. It didn't feel like the others in many ways.
Yeah. And yeah, that being said, in regards to specifically SMT, I still think 4 is one of the best ones. Often, like, I go back and forth on whether I like 4 or Nocturne more all the time. It depends on my mood in the moment, you know?
I could feel that. I'm very clearly more of a Nocturne boy, but
Yeah,
4
hey,
is really fucking up there.
my recent list, as I mentioned, did end with Nocturne at number 1, but 4 is a close second for very different reasons.
And even like you can feel some of 4 is them giving in to like, okay, we want to do less of our thing and appeal a little bit more to like what works for people. And like I think
Yeah,
in that case they did it wonderfully.
way
Um
better than Apocalypse.
yeah. Um I don't know. It's I think it's honestly just a thing too. We're I mean, we've always gotten a lot of these games in a row. Um though that being said, it's very clear that post like 2012 with like Golden and like, Persona 4 Arena and the anime all being the thing and like that kind of renaissance of P4, I feel like ever since then it's kind of been clear that Atlas has been playing it a little bit more safe because I mean, why wouldn't they? That's their financial key. You know what I mean? Um, they have their set style in some ways now, and they know what works and what will sell. So they're gonna keep doing that in a lot of ways. And it's just that after so many years of frequent releases like that, it's just kind of a thing where I'm like, yeah, I've had enough. You know what I mean? Like I've had my share in a lot of ways, and like I'm still gonna buy the Strange Journey remake, even though I'm not super excited for it. I'm still excited to see what SMT Switch is gonna be like, but I don't know. I feel like a lot of those problems that are being referenced will probably plague those games to some extent too.
If the SMT Switch one doesn't re-spark the passion, then honestly, that's gonna bum me out. You know, if
Yeah,
SMT Switch is just another Apocalypse and like mainline. So I'm not one of those people that's like, oh, mainline's going Persona, because like there's still a difference there.
yeah,
I do think that mainline needs to walk a fine balance in which I want that series to evolve and do new things, but it also can't lose what makes it special.
mm-hmm.
And I think Apocalypse was the wrong direction.
Yeah, same.
I'm willing to give them another go. I want something very specific from the new one, and I really hope that it doesn't. I really hope that it doesn't stagnate, and I also hope that it doesn't stray further away from what makes SMT stand out in a sea of generic JRPGs.
There is one thing for me that I will say that gives me hope in a lot of ways. Tokyo Mirage Sessions was just another PS2 era Megaten in many ways. And I feel like at least some of that design feeling will go into SMT Switch, because Persona 5 is very clearly like a new step, and I think SMT Switch is going to be a combination of like what you would get out of like Nocturne, DDS, TMS, and like a P5 style thing in many ways. I feel like
I
they'll go that way with it more.
what I want is I want them to take what they've learned from Apocalypse, Persona 5, and Tokyo Mirage Sessions, and I want them to make like the next I want them to make the next thing that everything will branch off from.
I feel like that is just P5 though a little bit, which
The thing about P5 though is that P5 doesn't have like cuz like things like Apocalypse, Persona 5 and Tokyo Mirage Sessions, they were developed alongside each other.
yeah.
And they each do something good in a different way. I want the game that takes the best parts of all of those and creates the thing that's like, okay, now we evolve from here.
And to be fair, I feel like they are a studio that will do that sort of thing. Like they very clearly look at what the fuck can we do better. Um
I have one very specific thing that I'm afraid will not be the case.
yeah.
I never want to go back to just 4 elements.
Oh.
My favorite part of Persona 5 was that they put in more. And I know a lot of those were in the earlier Persona games, but like Persona 5 has more for the first time in like 15 fucking years.
Honestly,
And
too, I feel like that's important too because I think there's a degree in some of those games where it's like you just have everything fucking covered and that prevents you from doing that again. Like, it's a little bit more fun for me when I'm not always guaranteed that I'm gonna get the extra bonus whatever for hitting a weakness.
So imagine a game that has the extra elements from Persona 5 with the system from Apocalypse where demons have different affinities for the elements.
That would be good.
And all of a sudden, we're back to the PS2 era where building your demons a certain way matters.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
And, like, that's what I want so bad. Because my problem with the series became when you no longer had the RNG element to building your demons, it was too easy to just have all your demons feel the same.
Yeah.
And, like, I feel like we're so close to having a system where we've evolved beyond needing RNG, but it's still balanced in that way. And I just need all these elements to combine together,
Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like they've made some missteps recently, and, like, I know part of it, too, is just me, like, personally, like, even before these games came out, being like, I don't want to just talk about SMT stuff anymore, and I do know, like, I do want to realize that some of that is coloring my perspective, I want to say, but it's mostly just, like, there's some actual downfalls of both Apocalypse and P5 that I'm like, you guys could have done better. Like, even, in a way, playing those games, I'm almost kind of, like, happy that I wasn't as, like, I feel like Cathedral of Shadows Rosin would have been really disappointed in both of those games. And I think the fact that I wasn't running a fucking dedicated podcast and, like, fan community around the games when I got to play them kind of dampened the impact and allowed me to enjoy those a bit more than I think I otherwise would have. So.
I like the fact that we have different Rosins now.
Yeah, I mean,
Cathedral of Shadows Rosin is a different era of Rosin.
I love Croc Rosin.
Yes! The two defining eras of your life, SMT and Croc.
Yep. I still need to stream Croc 2, bae.
Oh, oof. We'll get there.
Yeah.
We'll stream Croc 2, we'll play Drakengard 2.
Yeah. Gotta play Legend of Dragoon at some point, too.
Yeah.
That's in the distance, though. That won't be for a while.
Yep.
This one's from John.
Hi, John.
There's a really good chance this has already been talked about on the podcast, and I've just forgotten, but if you guys remember it, feel free to ignore this one. Ooh, excuse me. I recently started listening to the Logged Off podcast after Rosin tweeted about it. Yeah, it's a good one. It's really fun to listen to a podcast about general internet culture and what different places people go to on the internet, especially in the early days. So this got me wondering, when and why did you two start using the internet? For me, it would have been back in 2002 or 2003 when an older friend told me about a magical site that would tell me how to unlock all of the characters in Super Smash Bros. Melee, Game FAQs. This was the origin of my internet usage and formed a lot of my early impressions about internet culture and how forums should work, some of which stuck with me to this day, like never being a fan of signatures on posts that have pictures or GIFs on other websites. Game FAQs only lets you use text, and also importantly, he didn't include this in the email, you could only have 2 lines of text in your Game FAQ signature. Which I know because my story is almost exactly the same as John's, except maybe a year or two earlier than, like, I instead of 2002 2003, mine's probably more like 2001 2002, and it was also game FAQs, but for me it was Zoo Tycoon. And then I moved on to stuff like Smash and Zelda and like Earthbound and all those other stuff. But game FAQs forums definitely colored my first sort of online interactions I had on the internet.
Hmm.
So Zach, how did you become involved with the internet?
Um, so I want to say that it's been for almost as long as I can remember.
Nice.
Um, my earliest internet things were when I was very young and my family got a computer. And I was one of those kids. And hey, honestly, there are going to be some people listening here who are just too young for this.
Yeah.
But we had dial up AOL.
Hell yeah. I'm old enough for that.
And I was too young. So I had one of those protected accounts where there was parental protection on it. So the websites I could go to were limited. Um, I remember the first website I ever went to when I was presented with the internet and told you could type in whatever you want. I typed in Pokemon.com
Nice.
and it was the official Pokemon website because I was a very young child. Um, that is that. Over time, me and my sister would, because my sister was a little bit older, so she had the non-protected account. Um, we started doing AOL chat rooms, going in there and just being dumb kids messing with people. Uh, when I got my own computer, when I was more of a teenager, that was when I started getting really heavy into forums. Finding internet forums, lurking. I did a lot of lurking. There'd be like so many forums where I just had like 30 posts.
Yeah.
I remember I got involved with a Zelda fan site, and I started writing for a Zelda fan site way back in the day when I was a teenager. Stuff like that. So yeah, it's been my whole life, this internet thing.
I
AIM, I was there for the AIM era.
A large part of it I'm not going to go into because I've had this idea that predates RPG Rewind and kind of as a seed implanted into my consciousness around the same time I decided I wanted to do more analytical type shit. I really at some point in my life want to make an Earthbound video that's just talking about me growing up on the internet because the Earthbound fan community was a huge part of that for me. And also I feel like was a thing that was really big in your and my generation. Like the Earthbound fan community was kind of like a thing people knew existed. That's kind of fallen to the wayside now, especially with stuff like, Undertale and like the huge rise in indie games that are kind of in that style. People don't talk about Earthbound no more, usually.
I feel like people talk about Earthbound only so far as they constantly go, "Where's Mother 3?"
Yeah, and I feel like that's a shame because that was an interesting community with some interesting stories to it that, to be fair, I'm not going to probably go into those, but more just what I was involved with. Um, Starman.net, which is like the big go-to place for all the Earthbound shit. Now, to be fair, I had some problems with the mod team on that site forever ago, and I thought they were assholes, so I didn't go on there much. Never got banned or anything, but I just didn't like that place very much. So I'd have other side communities to that I would hang out in. Um, that place is a fucking shell of its former self because there's only three fucking games in that series, and you can only talk about those for how much of a decade, like the last game came out in 2007. Like after the fan translation came out for Mother 3 and like you had the 2 years of everyone talking about Mother 3 or so, that community fucking died out. Like There's
So
nothing left to talk about until like Earthbound Beginnings came out, and that was like kind of exciting. Then it kind of died down again.
it's interesting. It's interesting that you say that because I've seen so many communities take one of two paths where either the community dies out and like let's say it's a forum, let's say it's an internet forum,
Hmm.
and it only survives so far as new people coming up every once in a while being like, oh hey, I'm into this thing now. The occasional old person being like, yeah, that's cool, and then it
Then the
is over.
veterans at the bar. Hey,
Yeah.
kid.
So there's that.
Yeah.
Then there's the other path, which is the community evolves beyond what they were originally about and just becomes a group of friends
Um, can I
talking
be
about anything and everything.
can I be straight up with you? That's kind of what happened with, in my opinion, the COS thing, which is
Yeah.
weird because it's different. There's very clearly a through line of the people that decided to stick with this whole channel thing and hang out, and there's also a fuck ton of people that are like, I don't care about this other than SMT. I'm out, man, which is fair.
Yeah.
Um, I've always preferred the second option. Um, and I'm gonna be completely honest with you. Throughout my life, I've always agreed with the idea of, hey, go hang out on forums and group chats and shit like that as a way to make personal connections with cool people and then get the fuck out of the rest of it. Like, I feel like public internet spaces are often really good ways of meeting some lifelong friends, but there's always going to be the one asshole or like the few creepy or weird people that you just don't want to be around. Like, I'm still on public Twitter and I still enjoy public Twitter, but social media is very different. Like, social media killed forums in a lot of sense, let's be real here.
Yeah.
And part of that is because it's no longer a shared space in many ways. It is a space that you heavily curate and have control over. If there's
Yes.
someone in the community who you fucking hate, your option is no longer just, oh, you click the ignore user button on their profile and you don't see their posts anymore, even though they're clearly part of the discussion. You can just block and mute people now. That is an option for you. And then when you decide you like them again, you can unblock and, like, it is so fast paced and flowing and so controlled by individual users that it's not really a public space so much as like personalized spaces for people that happen to involve interacting with others. So,
I feel like it's a little bit of a shame because I feel like forums provided something that social media does not, and it's been lost a little bit.
I feel like some of the best internet discussions I've ever had, not in a chat room or like over voice chat, have been through like week long forum discussions.
Yeah. And I'm not going to name any names because I don't want to, dox myself over here. But there are a couple, like honestly, just one or two forums that I still visit,
Hmm.
and those have evolved so far beyond what their initial topic was about, to where like those off. A lot of forums will have like the off-topic section,
Yeah.
and you always know what you're getting into when that has like twice the posts. You know?
Yeah, that's when you're in the death husks of the community. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it becomes the hangout place, and it's like, no, ain't the fan weird place anymore.
And like honestly, there's almost no shot of a new member getting in there
Yeah,
because you're just hanging out with people that have known each other for like 5 to 10 years.
there's always the person who tries for like a week and realizes clearly people don't want to like make the space for them, and it's
Yeah.
like, no,
Or the
we.
people that like God bless them join and actually try to talk about the thing.
And then everyone goes, we've had this thread 5 times already in the last
They just
decade.
link to a list of threads.
Yeah, I've had those happen before. God, old forums are such a fucking big part of my. I've had a former friend of mine who used to run a Earthbound like fan forum that was very tiny and like a very niche offshoot of the thing that like kind of got some traction for a little bit there, but then that happened where there's just the core group and it became impenetrable other than the few fuckers who would try and then give up because it's like, oh, these people, like, this group of like 25 people are clearly a group of friends sort of thing. And you'd have some users that would come and go. I've since had a falling out with that person, and they have shut that site down. So a large part of my internet growing up phase is just off the internet now. Which, to be honest, thank Christ, because I don't want anyone
Yeah.
seeing most of it. It's probably very embarrassing. Um, but
Yeah.
yeah, the internet is such a weird fucking place, man.
Man, I've got like, you want to know a story that's actually kind of sad, but like,
Yeah.
so, uh, again, maybe dating myself a little bit here, but there was an era where MySpace was a popular thing,
Hmm.
and I was part of a MySpace group for a particular video game, and that became like that splintered off into a subgroup of like maybe I want to say 20 to 30 people from the original group, and we made our own MySpace group. And then after a couple years when MySpace groups were going away, um in order to like not lose that thing, I created a one of those like free form things, like the free public forums that you can make,
Yeah.
just as like, hey, here's this little
With like the white,
space.
with like the like white and pale blue generic
Yeah,
theme.
yeah,
Yeah, I know
just the
exactly the fucking what
generic,
you're talking about.
yeah. I made one of those as just like a supplement thing, um, and just slowly watched as it dwindled down to two people,
Nice.
two people other than me, and I pop in maybe once every year, and it's still there. But like just over the years, watch as just like people slowly fade away from this little community, and now there's just like three of us.
Have you ever like randomly managed to stumble your way into one of those and just see like the groups of 3 or 4 people still talking all these years later about Dragon Ball, even though the fires have clearly died out in 2009?
Yeah,
I always
no,
feel like I'm invading a private space.
that
Like I find old forums that like have the few vets that are still hanging out, and I'm like, this was not meant for my eyeballs, you know? Like,
yeah.
I actually, there's something I randomly will think about just I'm driving around the car sometimes, and I'll fucking think about this. If Zach, were you a Game FAQ user ever?
No.
There's some random shit from those boards I want to fucking like just think back on. So I was really big into like crazy conspiracy, well, like not conspiracy, but like paranormal shit back in the day. Like when I was a kid and stuff, I like to read up on urban legends and like hauntings and alien
Yeah.
shit and all that. Like as a lot of like young boys like to do, you know. Um, I mean, like I was like 11, 12 or whatever. The Game FAQs paranormal board was the funniest fucking thing in the world. I can't remember the name of the original thread, but like people would make up stupid shit and like create these like giant threads of like chronicling, basically like doing like a found footage like forum thread where they'd be like, "Oh, this thing is after me" or whatever. And I can't remember the name of like the thread, but like it was like, "Oh, I'm being stalked by this pale child with a knife that's like can go through walls, and I like nowhere is safe," and like some guy got really pissed off. Like, this is so fucking clearly fake, and you didn't have like time to post this. And I think it got to the point where like mods got involved and that thread got closed down. And the dude who started saying the shit like this is so fucking fake, like fuck you, created a thread that I will always remember to this day called the Flumox. And it was about how he was being haunted by a ghost baby called the Flumox that would Flumox towards him, and like it was like a fucked up demon baby Kirby that would like eat people and be able to take their forms. And it just constantly got more and more hilariously escalated to the point where he was like, "All right, guys, this is the final entry. I'm in Alaska right now with a tribe of Eskimos. We're gonna go at war with the Flumox," and he never posted again. Like,
Dude, what if it was real?
yeah, I know. Like there's just random memories and bits I have of that, and I'm like, this will never be archived. I might be the only person that remembers that, like, and back
Yeah.
in the day, that was such a fucking legendary thread. And I think there's like a Game FAQs paranormal wiki that was made in like around that time that has like a one sentence like mention of it. That's because I remember a few years ago I was like, can I find that thread archive? And I couldn't. But that was the only reference on the goddamn internet I could find of that legendary fucking thread. And it pissed me off. I was like, I want to reread that again because it was so goddamn hilarious. Like, there was a point where he's like, I hid in the sewers and then I could hear baby cries everywhere, so I ran the fuck out and I was surrounded by the flummox. And, like, it's so fucking stupid. Oh, man. Also, too, there is this thing that I actually still wonder if it happens where, there, uh, Game FAQs mods are really anal about just not allowing certain types of threads. Um, One time on the, I want to say it was the Ocarina of Time board, like way back, just when only the Nintendo 64 version existed. Someone made a like thread that was supposed to be like a forum game that was called like Hyrule Wars or something like that, and he made this like tiled out map of like Hyrule from Ocarina of Time and had described a bunch of different factions and made like a play by post like strategy war game between like the Zoras, the Gorons, the Hylians, the Kokiri, the Deku, like the Gerudo, like all of this shit. And it was really well put together actually. And people started playing it, and then the mods came in that are like, no, the super isn't allowed. So then they moved to like a bunch of random Commodore 64 boards to play the game in secret, like just boards for games that no one would ever fucking read. And there became this like underground Game FAQ scene of like play by post war games that I kind of got involved in for a little bit, but it got kind of like douchey, so I left. But I think about stuff like that all the time of like, man, no one else in the world probably knows about this, and that makes me just sad, you know?
Yeah.
So, because like, I mean, Zach, you and I just through Twitter are acquaintanced with like people that are about 17, 16, like high school age.
Yeah.
Or even like in our general group of friends, there are people that are just like a little bit older than that. Um, I actively feel like depressed that those people will never know the joys of old forum posting. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, it's gone.
it's so fucking dead now.
It's all Twitter now.
It's all Twitter, all Facebook.
Twitter, Facebook, Tumblr.
I'm gonna say I tried. I never used Rosin Brand as a name on Facebook, but I did at some point in my life try doing the whole I'm gonna sign up with the fake username for Facebook and join like excuse me, and join like nerd groups and stuff, and like I never loved the vibe.
Yeah, never got into the vibe on the Facebook stuff.
Twitter's great
Honestly,
though.
man, Twitter is great. Well, our section of Twitter is great.
Yeah, that's true.
I This is gonna sound dumb, and I honestly don't even know if this thought is like properly formulated, but like I feel like oh god, this is gonna sound so fucking bad.
Yeah.
The internet's too mainstream. And what I mean by that,
Oh, that's the worst thing you've ever said, Zach.
I know. What I mean by that is that like something has been lost by the internet becoming the thing that everyone uses.
All these
And
moments will be lost in time,
here's the
tears
thing.
in rain.
Here's the thing. I think that is fine because the overall benefit that the internet has given everyone in the world is better,
Yeah.
but at the same time, it has become impossible for the same level of community to exist. I think
Yeah.
things have become too big. There's too many people, you know.
Social media to me feels often like, how do I describe this? Forums felt more like that weird club you would go to after school, where social media feels like the school. how many people, Zach, do you follow? Because it's like everyone else I know follows them, even if you don't really know who they are. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's so easy to fall into that. And like, to be fair, most of the time, if your friends are cool with them, they're genuinely like, that's fine. But like, it's always like that feeling of like, I don't super know you. I just kind of have a general idea of who you know what I mean? It's weird.
Yeah. There's a sense of and obviously you can combat this by getting to know specific people well, but
Yeah.
there is a sense of like yeah, community that doesn't exist in social media normally. I feel like Twitter is the closest to getting that right again
Yeah.
because of the way the follower system works. But yeah, it's weird.
And
I think back to the way forums used to be, and even the way things like MySpace groups used to be, and like I don't think that can ever exist again. And
yeah.
honestly, too, it's a shame, but like, oh jeez, I'm putting myself fucking out there with this one, but like I think 4chan ruined a lot of things.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of shitty people on the internet now that, like, if they did exist back then, they weren't as common and you didn't see them as often. Or
Honestly,
also,
like,
maybe I just wasn't as sensitive to it.
there's a very like well documented case to be made that 4chan was a place that a lot of like young impressionable kids went to be young impressionable kids, and then the actual fucked up people that posted there indoctrinated them or at least normalized some shitty behavior to them that has caused a lot of the problems we see now, and I would not be surprised if that was the case.
I. This is gonna sound so stupid, but, like, there's a lot of praise I've seen given out to the Final Fantasy 14 community. And
Yeah.
I'm not saying that that's not justified. But when I look at not only how many people play Final Fantasy 14, but the types of people that play it and the types of things I see being discussed in like the shout chat, and I compare it to fucking 2003 when I played Final Fantasy 11, and I kind of miss the way it was in 2003.
Nice.
You know, like I don't know.
I
I'm rambling now, but
No, it's fair. This is good. I actually feel too, one thing I will give social media over forums. Social media is a lot more adaptable to drama. Your community doesn't die now when there's a large divide anymore, because they
yeah.
will just like bubble and then split all natural, and you don't have to start from the ground up, or at least one side doesn't need to start from the ground up like the old forum days. Dude, I remember, I think I was on a forum for, I think it was just some random anime forum that like split, and then like 2 years after like split again. Like there were three forums by the end of it.
I've
Yeah.
seen some so to be fair, the worst form drama I've seen were stuff that I was not involved in, but I
Hmm.
have been involved in a few of them in my day. And like it's always such a stupid thing of like you get into the big dumb argument and then you wait to see who's going to be the one that the people side with.
Yeah. Oh God, that's not like, I remember like specific arguments I've had, and it's like, I know this one fucker's gonna have something to say, but he's on vacation with his family right now, and like, this was also back in a time where like you had flip phones and you couldn't really reliably post on forums using the internet, you know,
Yeah.
like, so it's like, I'm gonna wait for this fucker to get back to their computer, say what they have to say about this bullshit. Oh man. um no, like I said though, I do genuinely think though that it's, yeah, it's such a weird thing where like I still to this day think that larger communities are often shitty places that your best bet is to make some friends that you'll carry with you for a long ass time. And sometimes like the biggest community I was involved with my teens was that Earthbound one. I talk to one guy from that nowadays, and like, hey, it was super worth it, all things considered. Um, but yeah, like fandom is such a weird fucking thing to navigate on the internet. It's
I agree
bizarre.
to an extent. I definitely agree with a lot of what you're saying. And I definitely think that getting into a fandom now is different from it was back then.
Yeah.
But I do think that there are definitely, depending on the person out there, there are people who seek that sense of community, and that's a comfort to them.
Yeah.
And I never want to devalue that, and I definitely can appreciate that. And
Hmm.
honestly, like, I'm really glad that I found like the little Twitter slice of community that I'm in, because like it's not the same, but it is giving me back something that like I missed.
I also feel like, to a certain extent, the way I'm talking about this is from a very privileged perspective, in the sense that I am someone who made things and, like, was. I don't even know how to really describe myself in terms of this situation, but I very clearly was someone out there that was a reference point for other people to meet and then form a community around that. I get, like, not around me per se, but I know for a fact that I know multiple people that only became friends because they found me for you know what I mean?
Well, I
So,
mean, I'm an example of that. I doubt I would know any of the people I know now if it wasn't for you. In
yeah, so,
terms of like
like,
that Twitter situation.
I'm kind of a cheater because I get the sense of community, but the community are all of the friends that I have, like, made along, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Whereas I guess,
No,
yeah,
no, no. Say
like,
what you were gonna say. The
no,
friends we made along the way.
I was gonna say the friends we made along the way. But, like, I guess, like, from, like, I never really thought about this before now, but, like, I lucked out super hard in that I get the sense of community, but I kind of, like, fostered that in the sense of I put myself out there and got really fucking lucky in many regards, and people formed around it, you know?
Yeah.
So, like, honestly, too, like, like, I have a whole fucking vlog where I talk about this, but, like, there's just a point in the past few years where, like, game specific or, like, media specific fandoms really started to, like, sour me in terms of, like, I feel like becoming a fanatic of certain things just isn't all, like, like, I'm a big fan. I'd say I'm a big fan of Kyoukai at this point from what I've seen, but, like,
Hmm.
I'm at a point in my life where I'm not gonna go on forums and, like, have a Shiki, like, signature and a Shiki gif in my signature and a Shiki avatar.
Fuck you. You have a fucking cheeky picture on Twitter
Yeah,
and
but
Skype.
I do, but but also, like, my Skype status right now isn't like I could kill a god if I have to. But, like, what I'm leading on more so is, like, it's not like a full. Here's my counter argument to this. My avatar is still the little bubble near thing, and I still reference the crow in my Twitter bio. I am a more well-rounded individual
Yeah,
than, like,
okay. You're not singular Karen or Kyokai.
I'm not singling. I'm past the point in my life where I'm singling and focusing on one big thing. I think SMT was the last of that for me,
Yeah.
because I realized past a point that every time I would get involved in a scene like that, the toxicity of it was just too much for me. And I got to a point where it's like I want to be able to really enjoy and cut into and explore a lot of this sort of stuff, but I don't want the random shit, like, I don't fucking care about the Amala network and, like, what all of the super detailed nitty gritty, like, well, okay, that's a lie. I care about all the stupid, like, nitty gritty lore details that all of the SMT games have. I'm not gonna tell someone to fucking hang themselves over it. You know what I mean? Like, there's a point where, like, you get into enthusiast fandoms and, like, some people just don't get the hint that they're taking it too far, and it kind of shits in the pool for everyone. Um, and
So
I
there's
feel like
not going
it,
to be an SMT IRL 2.
yeah. Um, I feel like it's a point for me where, like, I kind of got that out of game criticism Twitter, or, like, like, the general critique and analytical sort of, like, community there is for games, where it's like, okay, yeah, it's super cool to be fans of and, like, really enjoy certain things, but, like, it's nice to be a fan of a lot of different things and to also have enough of a safe distance from it where you can say, also, it does some things wrong sometimes. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and also, too, just keeping in fact that, like, hey, there's also a real life and world outside of whatever thing you were very attached to, and also that those two things can coexist and reflect on one another in interesting and, like, balanced ways. Yeah,
I
that's just kind of where I'm at in, like, 24-year-old Rosin land at this point, whereas like 19-year-old Rosin would have been like, I love SMT so much, guys, it's the best thing ever, nothing, fuck everything else. So
I think yeah, I mean I think part of it too is that I never really made the connection that there are people out there that just pick one thing. Because
yeah.
even like I was all over the place, you know. I was like, "Ooh, I want to go to this Zelda forum. I want to go to this Final Fantasy forum. I want to go
Hmm.
to this Silent Hill forum." Um, and I would actually occasionally see people on like across all of them. But yeah, there was always the people that's like that. No, this is where I go. I pick this one, and this is all I care about.
I
And I
feel
guess
like
I never really, yeah,
I'm kind of a mix of that, where I would be on a bunch of different places at once, but I would very clearly have the year where I was super into Zelda. I would have the year where I was super into Final Fantasy, like
yeah.
I always had the priority one. Um, and I think, yeah, it just got to a point for me where I noticed that, like, I was valuing the friendships with the cool people I made from those places more than the actual community, where, like, for example, the Zelda forum. Well, okay, the Zelda forum one's a very, very peculiar example because, like, I actually, like, had this one girl who got, like, kind of stalkerish, like, online stalkerish with me, and I was like, oh, this is really awkward. Um, so, like, I kind of ditched there, but, like, it got to a point where I'm like, hey, there's two people I really like talking to on, like, the little chat room here that maybe I'll exchange, like, AIM information with. Remember AIM? Um,
Yeah, I do.
yeah. But like I'm really I hate how like I'll post into this forum and then like this forum thread will devolve into like timeline arguments or like how you pronounce Deku and like all of that sort
See,
of shit.
I loved that sort of shit,
Yeah.
but yeah, it all depends on what you want out of it, you know.
Hmm. It's kind of like
But
honestly
to be fair, I loved that shit when I was like 10, you
young.
know.
Yeah. And to be fair, I probably did too, and it took me a long time to realize what I wanted out of internet spaces.
Yeah,
Um
and honestly, what we want out of internet spaces naturally changes as we get older.
yeah,
Cause,
exactly.
cause like, it's hard to, and this honestly, I'm in no way want to imply that if you care about that shit that that's wrong.
Yeah.
But for me, it's hard to go to work, deal with work, come home, see the news, see all this shit that depresses me, and then get online and get really angry that someone said Deku instead of Deku.
Yeah, that too.
And like that's just me, you know.
Yeah, when you're a kid, you have more like that's the most important shit to you when you're in 5th grade,
Yeah.
But like I'm a living adult and I'm worried about North Korea possibly attacking a nation that I happen to have friends in right now, like
Yeah, yeah. uh,
priorities shift, man.
but again, and I don't want to be the guy that's like, oh, I fucking caring about video games instead of real shit.
Yeah.
Like, dude, whatever makes you happy, whatever you're passionate about, that's fine. I don't want to say that you can't care about that. But at some point, most people grow out of it.
Yeah.
Like most people can only care for so long once they find like other things to care about,
Mhm.
be that other media or like real life.
Yeah. I feel like too also part of the thing with that is I guess part of the reason I have become more, maybe this is also reflects what I was talking about earlier with like social media being more adaptable. I feel like I kind of got out of the whole like core enthusiast for like one thing too, because those are the ones that die out.
Yeah.
Like, say what you will, hey, fucking I bet those Metal Gear communities aren't gonna last more than a decade after like now, unless something massive tap. You know what I mean? Like,
I can't imagine 10 years from now someone going, "Hey, but who do you think Ocelot cared um
yeah, like there's only so much like that material is done. There's only so much more you're gonna get out of there.
yeah.
And I'm sure it's always gonna be a big part of game culture, but like dedicated Metal Gear communities are have a time limit now in terms of
And
how
the
super hot they'll be in terms of community.
Yeah, and they naturally will have to devolve into either someone going like, yeah, I'm playing through these games again, reminded me how much I love this place. How's everyone
Yup.
going? And then they never come back.
Yeah.
Or the person who's like, hey, is this game good? I wanted to get started. Where should I start? And then they never come back.
Yeah. And honestly too, I'm not gonna lie, this is really pulling the curtain back. I feel like I've been talking about myself a lot this episode, and I feel kind of guilty about it, but part of me, like, stopping doing Cathedral of Shadows and also doing whatever the fuck I'm doing now is kind of me at a point being like, if I keep going with this Cathedral of Shadows things, there's going to be a point where I'm just going to stop. I know I'm just going to stop. And, like, I like making videos about things and podcasts about things too much to actually ever stop. And there's kind of a point where I'm like, I want to kind of readjust, and maybe instead of being like, I want to make a community for SMT people, I kind of just want to make a nice, like, balanced community where we can talk about whatever, and also is a not shitty place on the internet as much as I can, because, like,
Yeah.
there's kind of a lack of those in many ways, and I feel like the more of a effort individual people in positions like mine, which, to be fair, I'm not really in much of a fucking position. I have very little space to actually give out on the internet, but what I do have, I want to make good, and
Yeah.
like I said, well balanced, and to a point where, hey, if a certain publisher decides to no longer make a certain game series, I don't want my thing to have a time limit where, like, oh, people will lose interest. I want to keep talking about shit as I get interested in it. I want it to reflect kind of what I'm interested in and about, other than being tied down to one sort of thing, because I feel like that creates issues, as we've discussed.
Yeah, totally.
Good times. That was a good conversation.
Whew. That's a whole segment.
Yeah.
Man, just as a little epilogue about talking about like different form hopping and stuff. This is a funny story. There was a couple of forums that I was on throughout a long stretch of years.
Mm-hmm.
Starting when I was young and stupid. I want to say starting at like
So yesterday.
Yeah. No, starting at age like I want to say 13 maybe.
Mm-hmm.
There has been a single person that I have encountered on 4 different forums from ages 13 to 19, including and the one I joined when I was 19, I still go on today sometimes.
Nice.
This person does not know that I am the same person across all 4. As a matter of fact, they probably don't remember meeting me in any of the others, because I would always use a different name. Yeah. I'd always make a different screen name. I didn't have a unified screen name. And I never wanted to say, like, hey, by the way, this is me from those forums. Because by the time I was 19, looking back on when I was 13, it's embarrassing. I said stupid shit,
Yeah.
So yeah, there's someone I've just known, like, casually. Not, like, super... Like, we talked on AIM a couple times when we were young. And then, like... we started talking on like PMs in the newer form, but like we never super got to know each other. But that person I've met like 4 different points in time across my life because they have such similar interests to me growing up.
That's
but
funny.
They have no idea.
Yeah.
They'll never know that I've known them for so long.
The internet's a beautiful place.
I'll tell you which ones afterwards and you'll laugh.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm very thankful for what I have in terms of, like, small internet community, though.
Yeah, it's great. I'm really glad to be a part of it.
Like, every day I think about, like, it's actually pretty cool that I can go on Twitter nowadays, and, like, I'm genuinely pretty, like, fine with, like, the people I associate with, because I couldn't always say that all the time.
Yeah.
This is good stuff, so.
There'll always be a new drama.
Yeah, that's true. Like, that's just kind of an unavoidable fact of life. So.
It's unavoidable. Like, even off the internet, there'll always be a new drama.
Yeah. So that was good stuff. And honestly, too, like after I got the Holocaust deniers out of there, the Rosenbrand Discord's pretty good now.
I should pop in there one day.
It's pretty fun. I actually have had some pretty good conversations from people that I just never, like, they never comment or, like, hey, honestly, too, there's a lot of people that watch my stuff and probably listen to this podcast that aren't on Twitter.
That's true.
And I've managed to, like, just have some nice voice chats with some people in that Discord, and, like, hey, it's pretty neat, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff. I'm happy about stuff. This made me feel nostalgic and happy and giddy on the inside. I love the internet, and I don't. But
This dude, I love the internet. I think it's been used for terrible things, but as a concept, I love it.
I think I love the idea of, I think for the first time in human history, unironically, the internet and social media as a whole has given power back to the common person.
Yeah, totally.
Everyone's a journalist now. Everyone can expose terrible shit going on in the world. I feel like a lot of the fucked up geopolitical shit going on right now is actually a reflection of the fact that things changed too fast for us too quick. And, like, once we have now entered an age of mass communication so unprecedented that, like, I feel like the more I think about 2017 and what happened in 2016, like, on top of it, I feel like it's only natural that humanity would go through somewhat a catastrophic adjustment period, and I idealistically hope things will go back to being some semblance of sane sometime soon.
Yeah,
But
hopefully.
I'm sure some people in the Cold War thought the same thing, so I'm not going to get
Uh,
my hopes up, but I'm young and I have time to be idealistic yet, so
but like, even just like in terms of a communication tool, the what the internet has done, you know,
yeah.
I actually think about this fairly often because, like, hey, I'll get real for a moment because we haven't been already. I was a pretty lonely kid.
Mhm.
I never had a lot of friends. I never had a large group of friends. Um, and I'd like to just stop and think about, like, man, I've got like, I have a friend in a fucking other country, you know,
Yeah.
and like, I would have never had the chance to meet someone like that without the internet, you know,
Mhm.
and there's so many people out there that you could be friends with that are like compatible with you and that you would love to get to know, that
Yeah.
like they're across the world. You'd have no idea that human being existed without the internet, you know?
Yeah.
What a great thing.
Yeah, honestly. Like, and honestly too, I hate to say it, but like I had like a small group of like core group of friends that I really jived with, like elementary leading up to middle school, and then I kind of learned at a point in middle school that they all kind of hated me behind my back, and I was like, oh geez. So I kind of abandoned that group and got a better group of friends. Just like I had the one stray friend that was always like, "Oh, you can hang out with us." I was like, "Okay, thanks." That was Final Fantasy X friend for long time listeners.
Nice.
Um, I don't know if I've ever told the story with how I've met that guy, but it's kind of interesting. I'll tell it after I'm done with this. So I moved on to that, but like, I mean, you go into college and you kind of lose some degree of touch with people from high school. Maybe you hang out, grab coffee once a year, but like
Yeah.
you don't see them too often. Maybe you get invited to a wedding. Um,
Some people do. I actually know people that like still hang out with their group of high school friends.
yeah, I have the best friend that like I hang out with pretty regularly. But that being said, he's been best friends with me since I was about 10. So, um, but like the core group, like we used to go, like my core group of friends in high school, like up until like freshman year of college, we would go all like make an excuse to get together and fucking play Street Fighter 4 till 3 a.m. And then it got to a point where it's like, yeah, I have to work, and that
Yeah.
kind of faded out. But yeah, a lot of people do. I mean, I don't know if even I'd say a lot, but there are people that do still manage to keep the group afloat, which is pretty cool. Um, my college friends, which is like include like me, Amanda, and like a bunch of our like okay, that was like a weird thing too. Um, a bunch of like people at my college who were just all commuters happened to meet each other around the same time. And like we were just the one thing we all had in common is we kind of liked nerdy shit and we were all commuters. So like we couldn't make friends in the dorms and we were all like, "Oh, I guess that is an excuse as any for us to hang out then." So that was pretty cool. Um yeah. So that was neat. Oh, no. Okay, I'm going to go back and tell this is we're so off topic now, but it's fine. This is
What
good.
topic?
Yeah.
I mean,
Thanks,
we
John.
answered their question. Thanks, John.
Yeah.
Probably best email we've ever had.
I don't think I've ever told the full story of how I met my best friend, and it's a pretty fucking good one. So this is, like I said, this is the person that I played Final Fantasy X together with, and then later 13. So when I was 10, the summer of me being 10 years old, I got involved into an incident which I will not. I once, at one point in my life, publicly stated what exactly happened and the ramifications later, and some like med student managed to like dox me through that. So that's, yeah, I deleted that video where I went into that, and gonna keep it vague. But there was a point where I was 10 years old where I straight up just lost significant ability to move my right ankle. And I just walked with a limp. I was told that if I tried to like run faster than like well, not like I couldn't even really do a slight jog unless like I really wanted to put effort into it. Or else I was just at risk of like really fucking up my ankle. So I walked with a limp until I was about, oh god, I don't even remember the age anymore, but almost a full decade. I just could not run. Fun fact about me. And then eventually, because of, thankfully, advances in medical technology, I, like, was able to get that fixed up later on in life. Once again, not gonna go super into details, because it's not a very common procedure from what I know, so...
Yeah, you're already saying a little bit too much.
Yeah, I know, but it's fine. I think. But yeah. So yeah, I was disabled for a large part of my childhood leading into adulthood. When I was, like, literally, like, the next fucking, like, fall, like, everyone's coming home from school, or everyone's going back to school sort of thing, no one knew what the fuck to do for me for gym class. So the first time going back to gym class, they tried their fucking hardest to make it work. I don't know what the fuck they were thinking, like, going back on it. So we went outside to play baseball because the weather was still nice and we had a pretty decent baseball diamond at my elementary school. Now, or maybe it was early middle school. I can't remember the timeline on this anymore. It's been so long. But my elementary and middle school were one building anyways. So we're picking teams for baseball, and like we just have this dumb plastic bat, and I currently have the bat in my hands. I don't know why the teacher gave it to me. Then there's this one kid named Shane, and he immediately goes, "Oh, we have to have the kid with the limp on our team." So being the rational human being I am, I just took the bat and hit him right in the face. And then he started punching me, and we both immediately got sent to detention. Well, not like detention, but like the principal's office, and our parents got called. And while we were sitting in the like detention area, we both realized we both really liked video games.
Fuck this story.
So as like he's bleeding down his face, he's like, "Do you want to hang out?" And I was like, "Yeah."
That's incredible.
And yeah, like eventually there just became a point where we started to hang out. He turns out he lived about like, actually to this day still lives about a block away from where I live. So we would just go home, like we would just go to his house together, and we'd go into his basement and play PS2. And we played through a lot of games together. So yeah, that's how I met my best friend. It's a good story.
It's a good story.
Yeah. There was another kid that I used to play Animal... I think I have a problem. So this, I know, was around the time Animal Crossing Wild World came out for the DS. There was a kid who like straight up just started strangling me at the playground. I don't remember why. He just had issues. He used to like beat up a bunch of people. But like he straight up just started strangling me at some point and like they managed to get him off of me. And then like a few months later, I distinctly remember hanging out with him at his house for whatever fucking reason. I don't know why the fuck I did that because that strangling thing scared the shit out of me. And we just played Animal Crossing together for a whole day.
So what the fuck did Amanda do to you to win you over?
Just emotional and verbal abuse, you know. Nothing
Mm.
physical. No, she's kicked me before, but that's all in good play. Oh god, that sounds terrible. Um, yeah.
Oh
Whew.
boy.
Yeah. That's fun. This is a good wholesome podcast.
This turned out way different than I thought it would.
Yeah. I could talk about old internet shit forever, man.
Yeah, yeah. I could
Like
talk about old bullshit yeah. It's super nostalgic for me.
but to wrap this up because we probably should at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah, go listen to the logged off cast which he referenced in the email because it's off like a lot about this. It's run by Danica Herod, who is the social media manager for Waypoint, which is Vice Gaming's like thing, news thing. And she's really great, and her friend Samantha is also really cool, and they just post a podcast together where they talk about like stupid internet things growing up, and it's a lot of fun. So, highly recommend. Um, oh, you want to fucking okay? So like Waypoint's been doing stuff on like Disney XD.
Mm.
So actually, earlier yesterday, I I turned on Disney XD because I saw a gaming thing was happening. I'm like, oh, I wonder if that's the Waypoint thing. It's not, but I learned from watching about 3 hours of Disney XD yesterday afternoon. Dude, TV is just YouTube Lite nowadays.
Oh.
Like, Disney XD somehow turned into, like, people playing the Hot Wheels Forza DLC and doing wacky face cam reactions, and all of the
Oh
swearing is
no.
bleeped out. Yeah, like...
Oh no.
Like, I fucking died because there was a point where they're like, all right, if you stay later on, we're gonna have Nick talking to you about the top 10 things added into PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds.
No.
But I took a photo of that and posted it on Twitter because I was like, I can't believe I'm fucking watching PUBG on a fucking TV screen right now, or like on like cable television, but they're like, but first things first, watch playthrough of Gang Beasts with Will Wheaton, and I'm like, oh my fucking god, are you serious? Yeah, like, I don't know, man.
This hurts.
I mean, it's a logical conclusion considering how popular that shit got with kids.
Yeah, of course.
But like, oh god, it like just I've never felt more out of touch with the children in my life.
Yeah. Oh man, that makes so much sense.
It does. Like, it just became YouTube Lite. So, yeah, that's something. Anyways, we should probably move on. Thanks a lot for the email, chat.
Thanks.
That's a good one.
Oh. Is that the longest we've ever answered an email?
I think it has been. Hold on. Because I wanted to say we started that about like an hour and 40 in. I think we've gone about an hour and 10 minutes on this one alone.
Nice.
Oh, Jesus. Anyway, so Gonzalo says, hello, Rosin and Zach. Hope you're doing well.
Hi.
Yesterday I was browsing my games library and noticed a bunch of old games that I never finished, even though I was at 50 to 70% game completion, and I wondered, when do you think it's better to just start a new save file after the beginning, or continue from where you left off, even if you don't remember the exact details of the story or how it played at the moment? I ask this as someone who left a 40 hours RPG save file only to come back 4 years later and get completely confused as to where I was going and how to play. That's all for now. Hope you have a nice week. Yeah, generally I go about a year, and if it's been about that long, I tend to restart.
Yeah, year is a good mark. Honestly, it all depends on how recent it feels to me.
That's more of a marker for me. Like, if I can remember it and I feel confident picking it back up, sure. But a lot of times it's just me going, I don't think I know what I should be doing, and I'll just restart.
40 hours is rough though.
Yeah.
Because most of the time when that happens, it's like, oh, I was like 10 hours in, and I could get that back in a day, you know?
Yeah.
of serious playing, but 40 hours, that's like if you're like going to school or have a job, that's like a week, you know?
Yeah. And that's like a week assuming all you do is play that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say however it feels, but generally my rule is about like a year, or it really depends on how familiar I feel or how much I feel like I can remember it.
9 times out of 10 I will opt to restart.
Same.
I normally don't. Yeah, I honestly, I don't think I've ever gone more than a couple months with because like I look back on games like, so good examples is a couple podcasts ago. Now I mentioned like, yeah, I started playing Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth and Trails of the Cold Steel. I have no idea where the fuck I was in those games. If I ever go back to them, I'll have to restart them.
Yeah, that's fair.
Just
I
because,
think
like, I
that
don't remember them.
I think the longest I've gone is I want to say like Chrono Cross. I took like a 2 year break with.
Ooh, and you went back to it?
Yeah.
Damn.
And I still like I don't think that affected my experience at all. I actually feel like I still really like Chrono Cross.
You know, you know what I'm curious about?
Yeah.
Is there a human in the world? Like, I doubt it, but I want there to at least be one guy who was like, alright, I know there's a 7 year gap in Ocarina of Time. I'm gonna pick this up in 7 years.
Oh God.
You know?
Okay, so this is going back to old internet. I know people that took the 2 year break for Naruto.
Fuck.
Like I know multiple people that I'm pretty sure do not know each other that were like, oh, there's a 2 year time skip in Naruto. I'll watch it again in 2 years.
Damn.
Yeah, that's dedication.
It is. I mean, this one I think is more likely, like, someone that plays, like, Persona games one day at a time.
I could never do that.
Like, oh,
That's
alright, let's do this
so.
day. Alright, there's my 10 minutes. Back at it tomorrow.
There are people that will start watching the original Gundam series and all the side materials at January 1st, and then go the entire 1 year war.
Damn.
Which I think is a cute one. That's I think more manageable.
Yeah, because it's not as strict.
Yeah,
Just consume all of the 1 year war in a year.
yeah. December gets pretty fucking busy though, but yeah, that's that. This one's from Chillis Tyler. He says, "Been a huge fan of your stuff since Cathedral of Shadows days. Has there ever been a situation where you'd recommend someone start a series or franchise?" Wait, hold on. Sorry, I think I read this wrong. Has there ever been a situation for you where you'd recommend someone a series or franchise largely different from release order? Keep up the awesome work. Um, I can't think of. I feel like with a lot of games that's easier because old games tend not to age. Like, I would never tell someone to start with Metroid 1, um, or even Castlevania 1.
No, start with Castlevania 1.
Oh god, no.
You don't have to finish it. So a lot of old games, I feel like that. Like, I was
You just
talking to
poke at it.
yeah, I was talking to someone about Metal Gear, and they were like, "Yeah, I don't know if I really would." I'm like, "All right, start Metal Gear 1, play it for an hour, and then
Yeah,
play Metal Gear 2 for an hour, and then do Solid.
I feel
You'll
like
pick up enough, you know."
I exactly, and like just look at the Wikipedia summary. Like
Yeah.
I feel like Metal Gear 1 and 2 specifically are games I feel like you either get a feel for and appreciate, or you just don't, and like both are equally valid. I don't ever want to touch Metal Gear 1 again in my life. I kind of have a decent respect for Metal Gear 2, but also like there are parts of that game that I just never want to play through again, but I think some of the stuff is cool for a game that old.
Yeah.
Um
I mean, Metal Gear 2 is just Metal Gear Solid.
yeah, that's part of it.
Metal Gear 1 is super archaic, but honestly, like, I never beat Metal Gear 2. I put a decent amount of time into it. I think I got close to the end. But, like, I beat Metal Gear 1. Like, I
Yeah.
finished that game. And I'll never go back to it, but I'm glad I did. But honestly, no, you could play an hour of Metal Gear 1 and know exactly what you're getting into with that. So that's all you need.
Yeah.
And same
Uh,
with Castlevania, you know? Hey, play until you game over. You got it.
yeah. Um, I'm trying to think of like out of release order, like other shit.
Yeah. I mean, so dot hack.
Oh Jesus Christ.
I have a video about it if you're interested. No, I'm just kidding. Dot hack release order is complicated, but like you can do that if you want to do it in release order, but there are other ways to do it too. So like that depends on the person. I would recommend. Um,
Yeah.
hmm.
Start with Nier, then watch your Drakengard 1 LP. Actually, no, just watch the Drakengard 1 LP first. That's still better, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like Drakengard before Nier, I think is still important, even though it's a painful experience.
Yeah, I
Um,
would say so. Yeah.
yeah, it's hard. Honestly, most of the time, release orders are the way to fucking do it.
Final Fantasy doesn't count.
Yeah, because it's so different. Same with Dragon Quest.
Yeah. Uh. Yeah. Honestly. Um. So the argument normally comes in like chronologic versus release, and 90% of the time I say release.
I
Um.
feel like Gundam is one you can mostly get away with, but I think Stardust Memory is a significantly weaker series if you haven't seen Zeta, because it's an interquel and it's supposed to play off both the original and Zeta in a way.
eh,
But most of like 8th MS Team and all that, like you can watch before Zeta, and like it's, I mean, it fits. You know, it's playing off the original Gundam series, so it works. You know.
Totally.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I can't think of anything else.
Mm,
Thanks, Tyler.
yo.
Okay, this one I haven't read. Um, but now I have.
Nice. Good. This is good.
This is a long name, so I'm just gonna call him Mizu. Hello, Sir Rosin, Mother Podcast. I write to inform you and company that I've recently caught up to the current episode of your online audio talk show and want to know how you will compensate me for my mental scars contracted from the endeavor. Yeah, honestly, I feel bad. You should no human being should have had to listen to all of that.
Now is that all of COS and WAFP?
Yeah, that's what I want to know, because
Because
that's a
that's
lot.
significant. Like you're like, if you've caught up on WAFP, I'm sorry. If you
WAFP
caught
already
up,
takes. I think WAFP is at a day and a half
yeah, if
to
you've
catch
caught up
up.
on both, I'm impressed.
Yeah. Oh, by the I looked at altogether how much time has been spent. If every person's individual like time spent watching my YouTube channel was added up into sequence, people have overall spent about 10.5 years watching my YouTube content. I learned that the other day. I looked through the analytics and did the math.
Good.
That's good stuff.
You should be proud.
I know. That's a decade.
A decade of rosin.
Yeah. Oh god, that's gonna be a video series. One video a day. 10 years in a row. No, that I could never do that.
I mean, you could. They wouldn't be good videos.
No. Yeah, they'd be like 3 seconds long. It'd be me like tooting. Yeah, making that noise. Anyway, is there a game or series any of you fell in love with, keep thinking about, or just want to come back to without actually having any idea as to why? Personally, Tales of Grace's F is one of mine. It is widely considered to be one of the worst Tales of games with an extremely cliched story and stupid characters, but something keeps drawing me back. There's also the Black Rock Shooter game for the PSP that is really repetitive and linear, but probably one of my favorite games ever. Then there's other questions, but
That one. So have you heard about Die now? I'm gonna keep making that joke.
The Crow. The Crow is a weird, ironic thing for me, though. Well, actually, no. Is this just about game series? Well, game or series, so I guess The Crow counts as a franchise.
The Crow PS1 game, sure.
Oh yeah. Hey, I'm gonna do something with that at some point. I'm not sure what yet. Um, yeah, I don't know why The Crow is just fascinating to me. Uh, hmm. Yeah, I don't know. This is a tough one for me. There's nothing I can super think of that I like. I guess Rabbids for a weird portion of my life, but that was just misspent youth.
Yeah. So the
Uh,
question is things you go back to without knowing why.
yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, I can't really think of much.
I'm having a real hard time with this one. Out of like
You
other
know,
than things I ironically enjoy, but like I there's not much that I play or consume that I'm like, God, this sucks that I like stick with
I've got one.
often.
Um, Bad TV shows.
Oh yeah, that's a big one for you, huh?
Yeah, I'm still up to date on things like Gotham and Lucifer, and they're bad. They're really bad.
Lucifer's still fucking going?
Yeah, well, it's only been like 2 seasons.
Oh, okay. I thought it was a little bit longer than that.
Oh man, those shows are so bad.
I don't
All
have
right,
much in
dude,
that
I've got a
regard.
better one. I've got such like the ultimate like bad TV show that I don't know why. Um, and this is like I am almost like half a season off up to date on Supernatural.
Oh,
I fucking hate that show. I don't know
nice.
why. I don't know why. It's just like, I got it an hour to kill. Fuck it. Like every like couple of months, I'll be like, fuck it. What's going on with it?
You know what? I'll say like ghost hunting shows for me actually are that.
Yeah.
And honestly, a lot of cable TV, like shit like Pawn Stars or dumb paranormal crap, where I'm like, I know all of this is fake in very two different ways, but fake regardless. But like, I like to have it on as background noise and to just laugh at, of like, this is stupid.
Yeah.
Uh, next question, Zach. What do you do in FF14 when you are up to date with all the new content? Do you just stop playing until the next update? Have you been playing the 3DS Miku game, and are all the dot hack games as short as the first one?
Ooh. Hey, questions for me. All right. Final Fantasy 14. So the way that game works is that there's in-game content to do to fill your time. Um, the game works on a gear progression system where there's weekly lockout tokens. So if you want to get the better gear to do the harder content, you've gotta every week put a certain amount of time into doing like the content, like running the dungeons, stuff like that. So normally when I'm caught up, I'll just spend time like, every couple of days I'll do that. There's also things like grinding fights for rare mounts, doing the in-game raids, that sort of thing. However, right now I'm actually kind of in a lull with that game where I'm a little, I don't want to say bored of it, but I'm just kind of not feeling some of the repetition. So I'm still logging in every week to do raid stuff. Like I'm up to date with the raid stuff. Where like I've got a small group that's only missing like 2 members at this point. Um, and we're working on like the hardest content. So I'm getting gear through that and kind of working on that, but I'm in this phase where I'm not logging in to do the daily stuff anymore. So yeah, I'm just kind of waiting for the next patch while also doing the raid stuff kind of semi-casually with them. And that's been working out for me. The other questions, there was a dot hack one and there was another one.
First one before that was, have you played the 3DS Miku game?
Ah, yes, I played the demo of it and I liked it in theory, but it kind of messed me up because the this is stupid. The buttons were different from what I'm used to on the PlayStation ones. So like I'm used to seeing blue and knowing that's X and that's in this spot, but like on the 3DS one the blue is in a different spot. And that kind of threw me off, so I never really put much time into it. I should though, cuz they've got some songs in there that I wish were in the PlayStation ones that aren't. So I should put some time into that one and actually pick it up. Uh Other than that, the Dot Hack games are, yes, all that short, and the reason why they're all that short is because it should only be one game, and they just sold you 4 games.
Yeah.
I actually talk about this a little bit in the video I made, which is that most of those games is grinding. And it's not just grinding for levels, it's grinding for items you need to progress with the story, and it is obvious that it's padding. It's obvious padding to make it 4 games when it doesn't need to be. So yeah, that like if you take all 4 of the original Dot Hack games, it is the length of a normal RPG. Maybe a little bit longer, but you know what I mean? Like it's the length of like a Persona 3, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, they all are short because it's all one game.
He then asks, why could I not understand Antinomy at all in the first podcast, but then have been fine since then? Have you replaced him, Murder? I'm gonna go out on a limb and say you probably just got more used to the accent.
Yeah.
And then he says, have you ever thought of making a No More Heroes LP? That's a good question because I totally have. To the point where I even made thumbnails and shit, and I bought the PS3 version of No More Heroes, which I had previously just borrowed from a friend. I had a weird thing, and like I kind of still do to an extent, where like if there's a really good LP of a game that I like from someone else, I don't want to LP that game because I'm like, I know from like a weird personal thing that I wouldn't be able to do it better than this person did it, and like I would rather just recommend the one I enjoy for other people then, if that makes sense. And I kind of have that with No More Heroes 1 and 2, because there's this guy who makes really good quality, probably actually the best produced, edited LPs I've seen. Chip Cheesem, he did No More Heroes 1 and 2 with his friend. And they're just really well put together LPs of those games. And for the longest time, I think I would have been like, oh, just look at those instead. I've kind of cooled on that since then, because it's like, hey, you know, there's room for different people to have different experiences with the same game, you know? So, I've thought about doing No More Heroes, Heroes Paradise before. I think doing both 1 and 2 would be maybe something I don't know if I'd like to do. But Heroes Paradise does include some bosses and content from 2, just kind of as a pack-in thing, so maybe that'd be a cute way of doing that, but probably not anytime soon, just because No More Heroes is a game that, like, I enjoy a lot, but actually playing it isn't the most fun aspect of it, so...
For what it's worth, just to put a little input of my own on there, I think that absolutely people, when they come to your videos, it's for different reasons for a lot of people, but I think that there's at least enough people out there that are coming to your videos to hear what you have to say about something, to where I don't think you should ever feel like you can't do something because someone else did it.
Yeah, I know, that's just a weird hang-up I have.
Yeah.
I also do think, too, though, in kind of in the same running theme I have of heavily editing a lot of games I do, No More Heroes is a game that is ripe for doing my style of LP, in terms of cutting out excess content. So...
Yeah, except for the Zelda Let's Play.
No, that honestly, I like that one a lot, because that's a good game, I feel, to just have let it rock, you know?
Yeah.
Just...
Because that's what that game is, you know?
Exactly. I feel like that was a good version of that. I feel like we managed to simultaneously have our cake and eat it, too, of I don't think that we have bored person on episode 120 of Skyrim. I feel like there's relatively little downtime in that Breath of the Wild LP.
I was actually thinking about this yesterday. That
I think we diversified enough.
that LP is interesting because it starts out with like, hey, Zach's been playing this game a lot, and I'm Zach's gonna tell Rosin all these hot tips, and then it changes into like you start like being like, hey, let's go to a place that you haven't been, and then it's like we discover stuff together,
Yeah.
and then I catch up and I finish the game, and it's like, all right, now I'm gonna know everything again, and then you completely like blow the door open on shit that I was just like blowing my mind every time you go somewhere, and I'm just like, fuck this.
Yeah.
That's like, man, we said it before, but if people aren't watching that, you should at least give it a shot.
It, like, even if you gotta skip some episodes, because sure, maybe some are actually pretty boring, there are some
Yeah.
good bits in that fucking LP
Honestly,
that I like a lot.
I feel like that's a Let's Play that if you want, just jump in on the newest one.
Yeah, honestly.
Maybe watch the
I
first two, you know, and then
yeah. You can hear my excellent story of the first person in line who pre-ordered the Switch when they got it, took it out of the GameStop bag and went do 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 do.
uh
I think about that guy a lot.
you're gonna think about him for the rest of your life.
Like, cause like he was some like 17-year-old punk. It clearly was up to no good, and as soon as he took it out of the bag and rose it, like brought it over his head, I wanted to scream. Yeah.
Ah, man, he thought about that all day.
Oh God, he had to have.
He was like, everyone's gonna laugh and applaud me.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to clap and take my picture as the guy who did the funny Zelda joke.
Yep. I'm gonna be a meme, he said.
Yeah, oh, someone's gonna record it and put it on Twitter, and then, like, I'll become the next, like, guy. I'll become the guy.
The guy, the Zelda guy.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you all enjoyed this. Maybe eventually we can come back together for the Karno Kyo cast, and I say that's... You know what? So I said recently I want to watch those movies, like, all together. I was going to do that starting with 3, but then I needed to take a fucking break, because oh boy. I kind of, speaking of doing it for the meme, partially wanted watch all those in a row so I can have a WAFP episode titled Kara no Kyo cast.
Yeah.
I'm a douche, but it's
No,
fine.
let's do it.
This was supposed to be Kara no Kyo cast, but then it became Internet History Podcast.
Yeah, it did.
In a way, this was asynchronous storytelling. We did it.
Oh. Oh.
Zach, we are podcast.
No!
Everybody lives. Just this once.
What the fuck? Why? Why?